161. Deal with the Pope. The air in the living room seemed to freeze. A deathly silence fell over everyone after Bibi Dong's earth-shattering words, "Exchange her," left her mouth. After the initial shock, Yu Qing's heart thrummed with excitement, a rank 91 titled Douluo, and a woman at that. Given how desperate he was for high-end combat power and the fact he had the special Dao companion system, the temptation was enormous. This wasn't just about adding a powerful fighter, it was about what she represented, potential feedback to the system and a massive boost to the yin-yang sect's strength. Thoughts raced through his head. He nearly blurted, "Deal." Just as his lips parted, a sudden, sharp pain stabbed his waist. Hiss! Yu Qing sucked in a breath, barely containing a cry. He didn't have to look back to know who it was, Aru. Her soft, deceptively boneless hand was pinching the tender flesh of his waist with enough force to make him wince. That familiar, gentle warning immediately cooled his heated impulse. At the same time, Ling Yuan, the one being treated like a trade item, slowly recovered from her stupefaction. Her once bright eyes were now filled with disbelief and humiliation. She fixed Bibi Dong with a wounded, incredulous stare. "Su, Your Holiness the Supreme Pontiff," she said, voice trembling with hurt and a rising anger. "Did I, Ling Yuan, do something to displease you? Are you really going to treat me like this?" Her words were a mixture of sorrow, confusion, and the first sparks of fury. She had been loyal to Bibi Dong for years, had risked her life on countless missions, and had always believed she'd been faithful. To be traded away like merchandise by the Supreme Pontiff herself was more than she could bear. Bibi Dong avoided Ling Yuan's burning gaze. A flicker of guilt crossed her delicate face before she forced it away and steadied herself with an obsessive resolve. "Ling Yuan, you are excellent. You have always done well," Bibi Dong said, voice cold but final. "But the spirit evolution method in Sect Master Yu's hands is far too important to me. I must have it." "So?" Ling Yuan's voice turned ice. Her fists clenched until her nails dug into her palms. "So you'll trade me for it? Am I Ling Yuan? Just cargo to be bought and sold at your whim, Bibi Dong?" She said Bibi Dong's name like a curse, pushed past the last reserve of her loyalty. Bibi Dong was silent for a moment before she nodded once, painfully. "Yes." That single word snapped the last thread binding Ling Yuan's devotion. The fire in her eyes slowly died down and was replaced by a weary, hollow calm, an exhausted release after total despair. Then she laughed, a cold, bitter sound full of mockery and desolation. "Fine," she said. "A fine Bibi Dong, a fine Pope of the Spirit Hall. I'll remember your kindness. From this moment on, our ties are severed." At that, Yu Qing felt Aru's grip on his waist tighten. He grit his teeth against the pain, endured her murderous glare, and forced himself to speak up to break the stalemate. Your Holiness the Supreme Pontiff, are you serious? Have you truly decided to use Her Excellency Ling Yuan as a condition for this transaction?" Bibi Dong turned her attention back to him, pursed her perfect lips, and nodded once more. "Yes, it is decided." Ling Yuan's shoulders sagged in surrender. She snorted coldly and turned away, refusing Bibi Dong another glance, though she lingered in the room to see what Yu Qing would do. Yu Qing felt the pinch on his waist again and, thinking quickly, seized the moment. "In that case, Your Holiness, please wait a moment," he said. "This is an important matter. Allow me to discuss it with my wife." Before Bibi Dong could respond, Aru, half dragging, half supporting him, whisked him into the adjacent restroom. The door closed behind them, and the gentle expression Aru usually wore vanished instantly. In its place was a half smile and a dangerous, teasing glint in her pink eyes. She crossed her arms, cocked her head, and spoke in a syrupy, threatening drawl. "Tsk, tsk. As expected of our great cult master Yu," she purred. "With so many sisters at home, are your kidneys still holding up? Have we not been rewarding you enough that you can still look at flowers and grass outside, cult master?" Yu Qing felt the danger and quickly adopted a righteous tone. "Aru, you've misunderstood. I have no intention of that. I'm thinking about the development of our yin-yang sect." He took her hand and lowered his voice to explain his plan. "Think about it. Ling Yuan is a rank 91 titled Douluo. If she joins the yin-yang sect, our high-end combat power jumps immediately. Between you, me, and if we secure her, we could have 4 titled Douluos backing the sect. That would make us a top-tier force, second only to the spirit hall. This matters for the sect's future. I'm doing it for the sect. Aru's pink eyes narrowed. Sounds noble, but what if she's a spy sent by Bibi Dong? What if this is a bait to steal our core cultivation methods and secrets? Aren't you afraid of inviting a wolf into the house? Yu Qing's smile grew sly. If they can act, so can we. I have a better idea. Instead of simply accepting her as a member, risky and uncertain, let's bring her into the sisterhood. Aru's eyebrow rose. The sisterhood? You mean make her your Tao companion? Exactly. Yu Qing's eyes lit with a sharp gleam. If she becomes one of us through the dual cultivation bond, her soul aura will gradually resonate with ours. That makes betrayal much harder, and we'd keep her under close supervision, observe and guide her. If she ever had ulterior motives, they'd be neutralized right under our noses. By then, whether she's kneaded into a ball or flattened will be entirely up to us. Aru paused, the predatory light in her eyes softening into something like admiration. She tapped his forehead with a slender finger. Humph, I'll admit, you've thought this through. Maybe you don't only think with your lower half after all. Yu Qing hastened to pledge his devotion. Of course, my heart is full of you, our family, and the sect. Aru flashed a flirtatious look. Smooth talker. Fine, I agree. A sister at the titled Douluo level is certainly qualified, and since this is a sacrifice for the sect, tonight you'll have to reward me properly. Doubly so, won't you, my dear Ah Qing? Her breath, warm at his ear, sent a shiver down his spine. Yu Qing winced inwardly, picturing his exhausted kidneys. Rui and Zhenju had already demanded his attention for a full day and night. Being cult master was exhausting. After their private consultation, they emerged sometime later. Yu Qing carried a small white jade bottle and a paper covered in notes. He set them on the coffee table and addressed Bibi Dong formally. Your Holiness the Supreme Pontiff, inside this jade bottle is a medicinal pill that can increase innate soul power, the Xuan Shui pill. I developed this after years of studying pharmacology. Its properties are gentle. It clears the meridians, tempers the marrow, strengthens the foundation, and can improve innate aptitude. This paper records preliminary theories and methods for spirit evolution, including medicinal bath formulas and suggestions for spirit ring selection. I must emphasize, however, that this method currently only works on spirit masters below the spirit ancestor level with relatively low spirit quality. Increase innate soul power? Bibi Dong could no longer contain herself. She rose from the sofa, eyes wide with disbelief. Even Ling Yuan looked up, shocked. Yu Qing nodded solidly. Yes, I guarantee the Xuan Shui pill's effects. Bibi Dong nearly snatched the bottle and the paper out of his hands, tucking them into her robes as if afraid he'd change his mind. Her expression was suddenly complex, gratitude, curiosity, and an intense scrutiny that came from meeting someone she couldn't quite read. This man was more mysterious than he appeared. Then, according to our agreement, Her Excellency Ling Yuan now belongs to the Yin-Yang sect, correct? She asked. Yu Qing smiled and confirmed. Yes, she is yours. Bibi Dong nodded repeatedly, already consumed with plans for how to use the pill and method on the person she kept thinking of. Yu Qing's expression grew serious. One condition, he said. Use the method and the pill only on the person we agreed on. If I discover you've spread it or used it elsewhere, there will be severe consequences. A chill ran through Bibi Dong. She bowed her head and swore, Rest assured, Sectmaster Yu. I, Bibi Dong, swear in the name of the Supreme Pontiff that this method will never be used on a second person. She did not stay another moment. Without looking back at Ling Yuan, she hurried away, her urgency almost obsessive. As she left, a subtle, deep smile curved the corner of Yu Qing's mouth. The spiked Xuan Shui pill and the spirit evolution theory he had meticulously adjusted. Grandmaster Yu Xiaogong, I hope you like the surprise I prepared for you. Yu Qing turned to Ling Yuan, who still stood there, a complex mix of loss and unease written across her face. He gave her the gentlest smile he could and said, Her Excellency Ling Yuan, since the transaction is complete, you will temporarily stay by my wife Aru's side. She will arrange everything for you. Ling Yuan looked from Yu Qing to Aru's smile soft, her eyes unreadable, and felt the tangled emotions inside her knot tighter. After an unforgettable night, Yu Qing finally perfectly completed his deep reward for Aru. The next morning, he showed up before everyone with a faint, almost imperceptible fatigue. Ling Yuan, the newest addition to the yin-yang sect, had already been surrounded by Duan Xin, Purple Pearl, and the others. The women appraised her from head to toe with looks that were equal parts scrutinizing, curious, and boldly assertive. Her looks are top tier. This skin, these features, as expected of a titled Douluo. Her foundation is really solid, Purple Pearl said, stroking her chin. Her figure's amazing too, curvy where it counts, perfect proportions, especially those long legs. Duan Xin's gaze was more frank and appraising, the way someone admires a fellow owner of a superior figure. Shui Wue and Shui Wuxiang whispered, "Her temperament's also unique. There's a wild beauty to her, different from Sister Ru's gentleness or Sister Xin's fieriness." Ling Yuan felt uncomfortable being stared at like a commodity. She couldn't lash out. She had to stand there and force herself to be calm while her mind raced. These women, what's going on? Their eyes are so strange. How many wives does Sectmaster Yu even have? Aru stepped in to break the tension. Smiling, she drew the sisters together and said quietly, "She's here now, so we'll be family from now on. But remember, she's on probation. Don't spill our family's core secrets all at once. Take it slow, okay?" The women finally reined in their overly enthusiastic gazes and nodded. Time flew in a blur of preparations, and before they knew it, the day of the top-tier combat division had arrived. Under Spirit Hall's organization, representatives from the major sects gathered at a vast basin outside Spirit City. Surrounded by mountains, the basin's flat interior stretched nearly 10,000 meters across, a natural coliseum perfectly suited for Spirit Douluo-level combat. Once the sect forces were assembled, several Spirit Hall elders stepped forward. In a few graceful motions, they alighted onto a ring of unremarkable stone pillars at the basin's edge. Curious murmurs rose from the crowd. Then, at the same moment, the elders poured spirit power into the pillars. The carvings along their surfaces lit up, humming as soft spatial fluctuations spread outward. A nearly transparent, resilient barrier, like an inverted bowl, quickly formed and draped over the entire basin. "Is that a spatial barrier?" Yu Qing murmured, eyeing the pillars. He hadn't expected Spirit Hall to possess such a device. A spirit tool capable of creating a barrier of that scale had to be staggeringly expensive. The display underscored Spirit Hall's deep resources. As the barrier stabilized, Chrysanthemum Douluo Yuaguan drifted down and settled on a giant rock in the basin's center. In his uniquely feminine voice, he announced, "I declare the 7 Great Sects reselection, top-tier combat division competition officially begun. The light screen will now draw match numbers at random. All participants, prepare yourselves." A giant light screen rose in the arena, numbers rolling before settling. 52 vs 6889, vs 7750, vs 7654, vs 6693 on the Yin-Yang sect side. Feng Lingyan drew number 54, and Duan Xin drew 101, placing them in the 4th and 5th matches and giving them plenty of time to study the earlier fights. The first match featured Yu Luomian, level 86 of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, against a Spirit Douluo from a mid-tier sect. The bout held little suspense. Yu Luomian never even used his dragon transformation. Relying on the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Spirit's raw power and violent lightning might, he crushed his opponent's will, draining the rival's strength by at least 20%. In under 10 minutes, the opponent conceded, a vivid demonstration of a top-tier spirit's suppressive force. The second match was a showdown between Tiger-type spirits, the Black Tiger sect versus the White Tiger sect. Their spirit power was comparable, and the battle was fierce and evenly matched. In the end, the White Tiger sect prevailed through superior attack power and killing intent. The fight lasted nearly half an hour and gave the audience a thrilling spectacle. Then, a heavyweight took the stage and instantly drew every eye, Tang Hao of the Clear Sky sect. At his peak, he was a hulking, stalwart figure, resolute features and eyes like an eagle's. The spirit power condensed around him made the crowd's hearts skip. He was at the peak of level 89, his spirit so dense it seemed one push could break the level 90 threshold. His opponent, a level 85 Spirit Douluo from the Wind Sword sect, renowned for speed and quick attacks, looked grave, even faintly fearful. Tang Hao didn't bother to size him up. He simply summoned the Clear Sky Hammer, its massive head radiating oppressive pressure. The wind sword expert tried to use speed to outmaneuver him, circling and striking. Tang Hao's response was disturbingly straightforward and brutal. The first blow was a direct smash that split the webbing of the opponent's hand and shattered his longsword. The second was an upward swing that interrupted the wind swordist's gale sword control and sent him stumbling. The third was a horizontal sweep laced with a disorderly splitting wind force technique, blasting the opponent and his sword backward. He was coughing blood and unconscious in midair. 3 strikes, no spirit abilities. A level 85 spirit Douluo felled by the simplest of hammer techniques and terrifying physical might. The arena fell silent, then erupted in uproar. Too strong. He defeated a spirit Douluo in 3 strikes without even using spirit abilities. He's a monster. As expected of one of the Clear Sky sect's brightest twin stars this generation, at the spirit Douluo level, he's probably unrivaled. Even the other spirit Douluos watched Tang Hao with wary, powerless eyes. Few would dare challenge him. Yu Qing turned to the solemn Feng Lingyan and asked, "Lingyan, how do you feel? If you faced him, what are the chances?" Feng Lingyan shook her head slowly, bitterness in her tone. "Not even 10%. His strength, speed, and control of rhythm far surpass me. Unless he stands there and lets me strike, my attacks won't threaten him." And he didn't even fully unleash the opening posture of disorderly splitting wind just now. Yu Qing looked to Duanshin next. Her eyes burned with battle intent, but she was clear-headed. "If I don't call Ember Dragon and face him directly, my win rate is probably under 40%. My spirit power's only level 80, and missing a spirit ring is a big deficit. His Clear Sky hammer is too overbearing. My flames might not be enough." Despite her eagerness for combat, Duanshin could see the gap in strength. Next, Feng Lingyan took the Basin Arena. Her opponent was a level 83 Spirit Douluo from the Fire Leopard sect. The match showcased the agility attack system perfectly. Feng Lingyan pushed her speed to the limit, moving like a phantom and leaving faint after images across the field. The Fire Leopard's strikes were fierce, but he couldn't land a solid hit. With speed and precise strikes, she secured a clean victory and gave the Yin-Yang sect a winning start. Tsk, the Yin-Yang sect really is full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers, spectators murmured. A level 87 agility attacker, her speed is terrifying, others said. Now we just have to see their final contestant, that Duanshin. Wonder how strong she is. Amid the crowd's expectations, a fiery red figure leaped into the center of the basin with confident steps. Dressed in a sharp red outfit that accentuated her bold curves, her ponytail swinging lively, she wore a radiant, self-assured smile. The entire field turned to watch the woman who burned like a live flame. Duanshin stood relaxed and effortless, but that very poise pressed down on the Rock Antelope sect's soul Douluo like a weight. The Yin-Yang sect had already shown terrifying strength from their younger generation up through the core disciples. Everyone expected to face something extraordinary. He forced himself to stay alert. Duanshin of the Yin-Yang sect, a rank 87 ring soul saint. "Please receive me," Duanshin said with a bright laugh, cupping her fists in salute. Her voice was crisp and pleasant, but it cut through the arena like a blade, and for a second, the whole place fell silent before erupting into shouting. "A soul saint? Rank 80? Is she missing a spirit ring? She must have just broken through to rank 80 and hasn't had time to obtain an 8th ring yet. Is the Yin-Yang sect insane? Sending a soul saint who hasn't completed their rings into the Soul Douluo division?" Not everyone saw an opportunity to exploit this. In the VIP seats, instructors from the Spirit Hall Advanced Spirit Master Academy went pale. They stared at Duanshin's bright face, digging through memories. "That's Duanshin. She graduated from our academy 7 years ago. Back then, she was only a spirit ancestor. In 7 or 8 years, she's gone from spirit ancestor to quasi-soul Douluo. Her progress, it's unbelievable. What kind of methods does the Yin-Yang sect teach? Their recruits skyrocket in strength like they've been launched." On stage, the rank 81 Soul Douluo from the Rock Antelope sect felt a surge of joy replace his shock. A soul saint against a Soul Douluo? This should be an easy win. The rank gap and the missing 8th ring made him confident victory was his. His smile froze, though, as the bell rang. Duanxin didn't follow the usual custom of showing her spirit rings. She simply shouted once, and a flare of crimson spirit power burst out around her. In the next instant, her body changed. Fine scales with a white gold sheen appeared across her skin. Her hands became sharp dragon claws, a powerful tail grew from her lower back, and two small white jade horns sprouted from her head. She had become a dragon girl, heroic, strangely adorable, and terrifying all at once. Dragon transformation? The blue lightning tyrant dragon sect stands erupted in disbelief. Sect master Yu Yuanzhen's face went grim. Dragon transformation was their sect's signature secret technique. How could someone from the Yin-Yang sect know it? No, not a pure dragon transformation. It's more like a morphological mutation from martial soul possession. A sharp-eyed spirit hall elder called out, immediately spotting the difference. That only increased the shock. The Yin-Yang sect actually had something akin to dragon transformation? How many trump cards were they hiding? On stage, the rock antelope Douluo's imagined rank advantage vanished. Duanxin in her dragon form was ghost-fast and terrifyingly strong. Her white gold dragon claws were razor-sharp and could shred his condensed spirit power and any soul abilities he unleashed. His rock antelope spirit was known for agility and defense, but against her it felt like paper. Worse, Duanxin hadn't used a single spirit ring ability. She fought using only her physical speed and strength in dragon form, and that terrified white gold dragon flame. The flame burned with extreme heat and carried a peculiar purification effect. It not only scorched his flesh, but caused the spirit power around him to evaporate. How could he compete? Rank advantage? Gone. Spirit counters? She was countering him. Spirit abilities? She suppressed him without even using her rings. He resorted to his seventh soul ability, Martial Soul True Body, transforming into a giant rock antelope. But even that didn't help. Duanxin's claws still left deep burn marks on his thick rock hide, and the dragon flames made him howl in pain. The fight dragged on for nearly 45 minutes. The rock antelope Douluo's spirit power was nearly exhausted from high consumption and constant evaporation. After his eighth soul ability was torn apart by Duanxin's claws for the third time, he collapsed. I surrender, he gasped, slumping to the ground, panting, his face a mixture of resentment, humiliation, and utter relief. His voice even cracked with a sob. It felt like pure bullying. A soul saint who didn't use any spirit ring abilities had effectively roasted a true soul Douluo by transforming and breathing fire. I announce, in the fifth match of the first round of the top combat power division, the winner, Duanxin of the Yin-Yang sect. The Spirit Hall elder declared, his voice betraying the smallest tremor. The arena detonated in uproar. Conversations crashed like a tidal wave. A soul saint beat a soul Douluo by leaping ranks. My God. She didn't even use a spirit ring ability. How is this possible? Those claws and flames, are they self-developed soul abilities? It has to be a secret technique of the Yin-Yang sect, like the Clear Sky sect's Chaotic Cape or Nine Absolutes. What is the Yin-Yang sect's origin? Why has no one heard of them until now? Duanxin's victory was a boulder tossed into calm water, sending shockwaves through the ranks of the major sects. At the Clear Sky sect base, Tang Zhen watched his son solemnly. Howard, what do you think of Duanxin? Tang Hao folded his arms, expression sharp, but a faint, proud smile touched his lips. Very strong, exceptionally talented. That dragon form and the flames have unique aspects, but not enough. How confident would you be facing her? Tang Zhen pressed. 100%. Tang Hao didn't hesitate. His confidence came from being the Clear Sky Hammer's top prodigy, from mastering the disorder-splitting wind hammer method, the profound Nine Absolutes, the life-risk ring explosion technique, and the slaughtering intent he absorbed in Slaughter City. Among his peers, Tang Hao feared no one. At the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School, Ning Fengji fanned himself slowly, brow furrowed. Uncle Sword, the Yin-Yang sect grows more inscrutable by the day, a soul saint with that kind of combat power. Chen Qin held his sword steady, calm. Deep foundations, unusual cultivation techniques. Fengji, making friends with that sect will do us more good than harm. Ning Fengji nodded. Under the most pressure was the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. Sect Master Yuanjin's face was as dark as ink. Their prestige was on the line, and here was the Yin-Yang sect with a dragon transformation-like technique capable of challenging higher ranks. He leaned to the elder beside him. Tell Yu Luomian and the other elders competing later, if they meet anyone from the Yin-Yang sect, and if necessary, they can use that secret method. Do whatever it takes to secure victory. Yes, Sect Master. The elder's heart tightened. Yuanzhen was determined to fight to preserve their place among the upper three. Time passed, and the top combat power matches continued. The second round ran smoothly for the upper three sects. Tang Hao of Clear Sky remained dominant, dispatching opponents within 5 hammer strikes. The 7 treasure glazed tile schools Douluo also won with ease. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, stifling their irritation, secured their victory as well. Meanwhile, the lower 4 and lesser sects, barely qualified to participate, proved to be little more than training fodder for the upper 3 and the Yin-Yang sect. Then the third round draw came up on the light screen, and tensions spiked. The matchups were clear. Duan Xin of the Yin-Yang sect vs Yu Luoxing, level 83 attack type Soul Douluo of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, rank 83 attack type Soul Douluo. Feng Lingyan of the Yin-Yang sect vs Huyanjia of the Elephant Armored Academy, rank 85 defense type Soul Luo. These were the true showdowns, all eyes fixed on the 2 duels. On one side, the mysterious dragon girl Duan Xin, who challenged higher ranks as casually as taking a breath, would face the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect's top assault, Soul Douluo, determined to restore his sect's honor. On the other side, speed specialist Feng Lingyan, the one who had once overwhelmed the Fire Leopard sect's Soul Douluo, would confront Huyanjia, the Elephant Armored Academy elder whose defense bordered on the abnormal. This was no longer just a contest for points, it was a clash of sect foundations. Although the previous matches had been lively and brilliant, everyone's attention had long since shifted to the upcoming battle of the 2 dragons. When the referee finally announced the pairings, the entire basin spectator area fell silent. Every eye turned toward the entrance. Duan Xin and Yu Luoxing entered the vast arena almost simultaneously. Duan Xin's usual playful expression was gone. Her fiery red eyes burned with battle intent, like a leopard fixing on its prey, every muscle tensed and focused. Yu Luoxing, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect's rank 83 attack type Soul Douluo, wore a solemn face and eagle-sharp eyes. Faint arcs of blue lightning danced across his body. He had clearly pushed himself to peak readiness. Yin-Yang sect, Duan Xin, rank 80, 7-ring battle spirit saint, please. Duan Xin cupped her fists and announced herself in a clear, bright voice. Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, Yu Luoxing, rank 83, attack type Soul Douluo, please. Yu Luoxing replied in a deep, proud tone that carried the unshakable majesty of the world's foremost beast spirit. There was no needless talk. The moment the referee waved his arm, the battle erupted. 2 roars, one fierce, one thunderous, split the air in unison. Platinum flames surged around Duan Xin, fine dragon scales coating her skin as she shifted into dragon maiden form, sharp claws, a swaying tail, every movement lit by living fire. Yu Luoxing transformed even more completely. His limbs swelled into muscle and blue dragon scales, his hands turning into cruel claws, violent thunder coiling around him like armor. One red, one blue, 2 figures shot at each other like cannonballs. Dragon claws met thunder-fisted blows in a wild, direct clash. Flames and lightning intertwined, each collision detonating with earth-shaking force. Shockwaves tore into the hard ground, gouging deep gullies and flinging rubble like shrapnel. Platinum fire hissed through the air, while blue lightning burned and blackened everything it touched. They fought from the ground into the sky and crashed back down, a head-on contest of raw strength and elemental attributes. The basin became a hell of lava and storms, a breathtaking, terrifying scene. 5th spirit ability, Blue Lightning Thunder Dragon Rush. Unable to land a decisive blow, Yu Luoxing shifted tactics first. His 5th spirit ring flared, and his whole being fused with raging thunder, coalescing into a clawed, terrifying thunder dragon. Moving with a speed barely visible to the eye, it lunged forward and swallowed Duan Xin midair. The thunder dragon detonated in a blinding blue explosion, blasting a bottomless pit nearly 100 meters across into the arena. The heat melted rock at the rim into glass. Did it work? A Blue Lightning sect supporter cried out. No, look, sharp-eyed spectators shouted. As Yu Luoxing's thunder faded after the explosion, a blazing flame figure flickered beside him like a mirage. Duanxin had slipped away from the core blast and reappeared, platinum flames compressed on her claws, striking down with concentrated force. Heaven-burning claw! The hurried thunder shield Yu Luoxing had formed was shredded like paper. The blow slammed him backward like a meteor, carving a scorched arc across the ground before he staggered to his feet. The exchanges so far had been explosive but probing. Both were still feeling out the other. Duanxin held a slight edge thanks to her speed and the corrosive heat of her dragonfire, but Yu Luoxing's foundations ran deep. Though shaken, he'd suffered no mortal wound. "That was only an appetizer," muttered one commentator. Yu Luoxing wiped a smear of blood from his mouth. He could no longer afford restraint. Third spirit ability, Thunder's Fury, he roared. Sixth soul skill, Blue Lightning Thunder Dragon Transformation. 2 strengthening spirit feats layered over him. The lightning about his form shifted from pure blue to a dark, violent purple. The arcs now crackled with a destructive, annihilating aura. Stray discharges no longer merely scorched rock, they vaporized pits into the stone floor. His attack power surged to a terrifying peak. Duanxin inhaled and smiled with fierce excitement. She raised her hands and poured spirit power into herself. The lights of her spirit rings flashed in sequence. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, black, an optimal balance that the crowd admired. Then, as the 7th ring ignited, everything froze. Red, a brilliant red spirit ring bloomed beneath her feet, as if condensed from blood and life itself. A red ring of inconceivable depth. It flared like a dormant volcano erupting, like a blood-colored sun detonating in the night, an overwhelming brilliance that seared into every onlooker's soul. Time seemed to stop. A hush fell over the basin before a wave of stunned gasps swept the stands. "Red? It's red! The 7th spirit ring. 100,000 year? My God, how is this possible? An illusion! It must be an illusion." In the VIP area, the sect masters of the upper 3 sects, the Pope of the Spirit Hall, the priests, every peak powerhouse shot to their feet, faces drained of color, eyes wide with unprecedented shock. Bibi Dong's purple eyes pinched shut, and her fingers dug into the Supreme Pontiff's scepter until her knuckles whitened. Qian Daoliu's composed expression cracked with a rare ripple of agitation. Tang Zhen, Ning Fengji, Yu Yuanzhen, within every seasoned veteran's heart, a monstrous wave of disbelief and alarm swelled. 100,000-year spirit ring was a treasure countless titled Douluo dreamed of but rarely obtained. And here it was, beneath the feet of a spirit saint. Yu Luoxing himself mentally blanked the moment Duanxin revealed that ring. The rank pressure emanating from its depths, plus the psychological shock, sent him into a momentary, fatal soul split. In a contest between masters, a single instant of divided focus could mean the difference between life and death. 5th spirit ability, Exploding Dragon Flame Cannon. Duanxin seized the moment without hesitation. She opened her dragon maw and hurled a highly condensed filament of heat, platinum lava in microcosm, straight at Yu Luoxing's chest, as if ripping through space itself. The filament struck and then blossomed into a 10-meter-wide platinum fireball that engulfed Yu Luoxing and the annihilating thunder about him. The explosion gouged another deep pit into the arena, and the escaping heat was so intense that even distant spectators felt as if their skin were burning. She was not finished. Cinder Annihilation Domain. Beneath Duanxin's feet, a gray, deathly domain spread out like a tide. Centered on her, it carried the will to burn and obliterate all in its path, engulfing half the basin in an instant. Within the domain, air warped and light dimmed. Ghostly pinpoints of platinum and dark red flame burned out of thin air. Stone and space hissed and creaked as if they would be melted away. Even the space barrier, the protective field maintained by several Spirit Hall elders, began to warp and crack at the domain's edge, emitting faint, teeth-aching snapping sounds. Not good. The domain's power is too strong. Reinforce the barrier. One of the elders shouted, his face ashen. Several others poured more spirit power into the barrier, barely stabilizing the buckling field, every one of them straining under the effort. The audience, brought back from stunned disbelief, kept their eyes fixed on Duanxin, especially on the red spirit ring slowly rotating beneath her feet, shining like blood jade. Obsession, greed, fear, awe, a tangle of emotions flashed across countless faces. 100,000-year spirit ring had appeared in the world, on a spirit saint, and its revelation was shaking the entire world. 165. The extinguished sun burns the heavens and boils the seas. When Duanxin's Ember Annihilation domain swallowed half the basin, the outcome of the duel had already begun to tip. Still, as a top spirit Douluo of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, Yu Luoxing, an 83rd level attack-type soul Douluo, would never admit defeat quietly. For the honor of his sect and his own pride, he let out one last roar. 7th spirit skill, Martial Soul True Body. Brilliant blue-purple lightning shot skyward as Yu Luoxing's body expanded and transformed into a massive, fearsome blue thunder dragon. In his Martial Soul True Body state, his spirit power, defenses, and lightning control peaked. He managed, with great effort, to pry open a trembling lightning domain within the crushing Ember Annihilation domain, struggling against the pervasive corrosion of the platinum flames. A deathbed struggle. Duanxin's cold voice echoed through the domain. Hovering in midair in her dragon girl form, she looked like a fire goddess. She held her hands as if embracing something unseen, and a ring of platinum fire formed behind her. Son of Annihilation. With that cry, the Ember Annihilation domain seemed to take on a will of its own. Countless drifting platinum flames and dark red sparks on the ground converged toward the fire ring like summoned soldiers. The light at the ring's center flared, the temperature spiking until it condensed into a small platinum sun, only the size of a fist, but vibrating with such terrifying force that space itself bent and shuddered. The basin's light seemed to be swallowed by it. Everything else dimmed beneath its destructive heat. The air ionized with sharp crackling. Rocks below melted into lava, and even distant spectators felt their spirit power prick with heat. What kind of spirit ability is that? The energy fluctuations. My soul is trembling. Can a spirit saint truly unleash this? 100,000-year spirit ring. It's beyond belief. Under the pressure of the Son of Annihilation, the Thunder Dragon let out a roar of terror and fury. Feeling an immediate mortal threat, Yu Luoxing could not wait. 8th spirit skill, Thunder Dragon Heaven-Piercing Strike. He poured every last reserve of spirit power into the blow, even burning his spirit origin without hesitation. The massive Thunder Dragon body contracted as all its lightning condensed into a highly refined, deep black destructive lightning pillar. It tore through space with an indomitable will to shatter that brilliant sun, streaking upward straight toward Duanxin. This attack carried the very essence and spirit of Yu Luoxing as a Douluo, its force already brushing the threshold of a titled Douluo. Go. Duanxin's expression stayed calm as she simply pushed forward. The small platinum sun of annihilation, like a falling meteor bearing the judgment of oblivion, met the pitch-black lightning pillar midair. There was no cataclysmic roar. At the instant they touched, time seemed to stretch. Under countless horrified gazes, the Thunder Dragon's heaven-piercing strike, an attack that could pierce mountains, began to be burned away. Like snow under an unforgiving sun, the black lightning was devoured inch by the platinum flames, purified into nothing. No amount of roaring or frantic spirit pushing from Yu Luoxing could stop the collapse of his lightning pillar. The little sun embodied absolute destructive law, crushing all resistance. No, Yu Luoxing howled, dragon pupils wide with fear and unwillingness. But the Son of Annihilation pressed down unflinchingly, swallowing the resisting pillar. Then it descended upon Yu Luoxing's Thunder Dragon true body. A strange wailing hum spread as if space itself cried out. A blinding white light followed, swallowing everything in sight. From the collision point, a vast platinum fireball erupted, over 100 meters across, silent but radiating a heat that incinerated all. Wherever it passed, ground didn't shatter so much as vaporize. Solid rock and searing lava both disappeared into a bottomless pitch-black abyss with edges as smooth as polished glass. Farther out, the earth turned to a sea of molten red. The basin shook as if struck by a magnitude 10 quake. The space barrier, maintained by several Spirit Hall elders at full output, gave an overloaded crack, webbed with fissures, its light stuttering like a dying star. Reinforce it. All elders, pour everything you have into the barrier. Chrysanthemum Douluo Yueguan screamed, face ashen. Several titled Douluo rushed to shore up the pillars, staving off collapse by sheer force, sweat and fear coating every brow. The light faded. When vision returned, the sight froze everyone's blood. At the basin's center yawned a massive bottomless black hole, as if leading straight to hell. Around it flowed a lake of molten lava, bleeding a dull red glow. The arena, the ravines, even the figures of Duan Xin and Yu Luoxing were gone. Did they perish together? How could anyone survive that? Is that really an attack a spirit saint can use? On the blue lightning tyrant dragon sect side, Sect Master Yuanjin stood pale as paper, swaying. He stared at the abyss with grief and despair. Yu Luoxing was one of the sect's pillars, and the loss, if true, would be crushing. Silence swelled into stunned murmurs, and then something else happened. Screech! A huge dragon claw, covered with translucent red jade-like scales and wreathed in faint platinum flames, tore open the distorted space at the basin's center. An ancient, majestic aura clung to it. Then a fiery red figure, Duan Xin, leapt out of the rift like a swallow and landed on that dragon claw. Other than a little messy hair and slightly ragged breathing, she was unharmed. Ember Dragon, thanks! Duan Xin grinned at the massive claw. The claw waved once and, as if discarding refuse, tossed something charred and black as coal, no longer human in appearance, toward the blue lightning tyrant dragon sect's spectator seats. Only the tattered clothing still bore the sect's emblem. Catch him! Save him, quickly! Yu Yuanjin barked hoarsely. Several elders scrambled to catch the blackened form and immediately applied healing spirit abilities. Despite keeping a faint spark of life, Yu Luoxing's meridians were shattered and his spirit origin gravely damaged. Even if he survived, future progress would be grim. Dead silence shattered into uproar. She's alive! Duan Xin survived. What was that dragon claw? Her spirit ability? It tore open space. Incredible. To withstand that blast and emerge unharmed. How many trump cards does the Yin-Yang sect still have? The referee stood stunned for several minutes before, prompted by Chrysanthemum Douluo, announcing in a trembling voice, top-tier combat round, third match, the winner, Yin-Yang sect, Duan Xin. Duan Xin's smile bloomed. In a flash, she returned to the Yin-Yang sect's seats and leapt into Yu Qing's arms, puckering into a victory V. Husband, did you see that? Easy win! Yu Qing, half annoyed and half amused, ruffled her messy red hair. You're reckless. If Ember Dragon hadn't pulled you out, would you still be standing? Duan Xin stuck out her tongue playfully. I just wanted to test my new move. Who knew that with 100,000-year spirit ring, it would be so powerful? She puffed her chest teasingly. Don't worry, husband. I didn't use much. I still have a third of my spirit power left. Yu Qing checked her carefully. Only after confirming no hidden injuries did he relax. Their easy intimacy drew quiet chuckles from Aru, Zirui, and others nearby. Ling Yuan, newly arrived, watched with a complex expression, finding the Yin-Yang sect's blend of serious focus and relaxed warmth refreshingly novel. Because Duan Xin had devastated the center of the basin, the remaining matches moved to a less damaged open area at the basin's edge. Feng Lingyin's duel with Huyanjia from the Elephant Armored Academy began. Huyanjia's defense was formidable. Once his diamond mammoth martial soul true body activated, he became a walking fortress. Feng Lingyin, though, pushed agility and offense to extremes, her speed leaving only after images, her strikes probing for chinks. When his defense finally cracked, she unleashed the spirit bone skill of her 80,000-year rapid shadow wind-chasing left leg bone. Wind-chasing shadowless kill, like a wind blade through space, instantly maiming Huyanjia. In the following matches, the Clear Sky Sect and the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School each won decisively. On the leaderboard, Yin Yang and Clear Sky were neck and neck, with the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School close behind. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect, with Yu Luoxing grievously injured and effectively withdrawn, had lost a crucial combatant and was likely to fall behind in points. 166. Duan Xin vs 7th Elder of Haoqian Sect. The top-tier combat round moved quickly, and before anyone realized it, the 4th round was over. Duan Xin's terrifying display, the 100,000-year spirit ring, and the world-shaking Sun of Annihilation had left most of her later opponents cowed before the first clash. Often both fighters would step into the arena, feel the faint dragon aura and blistering heat radiating from Duan Xin, exchange a few token strikes, and then one side would wisely raise a hand in surrender. Confronting someone who wore a 100,000-year spirit ring and could unleash power comparable to a ninth spirit skill of a titled Douluo was simply courting humiliation or injury. Thus, Duanshin walked through the fourth round as if on a stroll. At last, the final round of the top-tier combat round arrived, and the draw for the matches captured everyone's attention. Feng Lingyan vs Tang Hao, Clear Sect. Duanshin vs Tang Qi, 7th Elder of the Clear Sky Sect. These two matches were the highlights of the round, the Yin-Yang sect's dual beauties facing the Clear Sky sect's strongest representatives among the younger and middle generations. First to take the stage were Feng Lingyan and Tang Hao. The fight was short and without drama. Feng Lingyan understood the gulf between them. Tang Hao's superior spirit quality, higher spirit power rank, overwhelming combat experience, and his peerless Clear Sky Hammer with its unfathomable trump cards, Chaotic Cape, Clear Sky 9 Absolutes, even Ring Explosion. She didn't try to go head-on. Relying on her agility, she launched a few probing attacks, felt the mountain-like pressure and the almost impossible-to-predict trajectories of Tang Hao's strikes, and then sensibly surrendered. The whole exchange lasted no more than 3 to 5 minutes. The audience sighed with disappointment but understood. The gap was too big. Feng Lingyan made the right call. Against someone like Tang Hao, retreating unscathed is practically a win. Looks like the Yin-Yang sect still trails the Clear Sky sect at top-tier combat power. On the VIP seats, Sect Master Tang Zhen nodded with satisfaction at his son's performance, but his gaze quickly shifted to Tang Qi and Duanshin, who were about to enter the arena. He thought, although Old Seven is very strong and his fire-attributed Clear Sky Hammer is unique, facing Duanshin with a 100,000-year spirit ring, his chances look slim. The one under the most pressure, however, was Tang Qi himself. As 7th Elder of the Clear Sky sect, his strength was unquestioned. With rank 85 spirit power and a fire-based Clear Sky Hammer path that fused hammer techniques with flame spirit rings, he held a lofty position in the sect and packed enormous combat power. He'd even beaten a spirit Douluo from the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School in the 4th round. Still, Duanshin's blood-red spirit ring haunted him like a nightmare. Her world-destroying Son of Annihilation and the strange Ember Domain left him with almost no hope of victory. All he could hope for was to fight with everything he had, show the Clear Sky sect's style, and try to force out more of her trump cards. Under the gaze of the entire audience, Duanshin and Tang Qi stepped into the hastily repaired basin arena. Yin-Yang sect, Duanshin, rank 80, 7-ring battle spirit saint, please. Duanshin cupped her fists, a bright, eager smile on her face as if she relished the duel. Clear Sky sect, Tang Qi, rank 85 assault-type battle spirit Douluo, please. Tang Qi's voice was steady, his gaze solemn, heat shimmering faintly around him. The battle erupted instantly. Tang Qi struck first. He roared as the massive Clear Sky Hammer whistled through the air, bringing scorching winds and rolling heat. He unleashed the Clear Sky sect's secret discipline, the disorder-splitting wind hammer technique, and wove the Clear Sky 9 absolutes into its rhythm. Collapse, break, shock, penetrate. The hammer's variations were ruthless and unpredictable, powerful yet finely controlled. Duanshin transformed into a flaming spirit form and moved like a living blaze. With dragon claws, her platinum flames condensed into shields, spears, and myriad weapons as needed. But whatever form her flame took, Tang Qi always seemed to have the exact absolute to neutralize it, shattering, redirecting, or dissipating the attack. His combat experience and mastery of the Clear Sky Hammer and the 9 absolutes were consummate. Yu Qing watched from the stands, impressed. This Clear Sky Hammer style is interesting, like a swordsman who abandons fixed patterns in favor of formlessness. Against any attack, there's a corresponding break. The Clear Sky sect's steadiness has its merits. Unable to break through Tang Qi's defense, Duanshin grew frustrated and then shouted, 7th spirit skill, martial soul, true body. Boom! Her spirit power surged. Moments later, an elegant, slender dragon appeared in the arena, its body covered in translucent, red jade scales and ringed by platinum flames. Duanshin's 100,000-year martial soul true body, the red jade ember dragon. The instant the dragon manifested, the venue's temperature shot up to terrifying levels. Air distorted, heat waves rolled, and even distant spectators felt parched, as if standing by a furnace. What a terrifying dragon aura and flame! Facing Duanshin at full power, Tongqi did not dare slacken. He roared, "Seventh spirit skill, martial soul true body." Light exploded, and instead of growing larger, his clear sky hammer split into two slightly smaller, fire-red war hammers burning with raging flame. With dual hammers in hand, his aura peaked, looking like a god of war forged from fire, his unique clear sky hammer true body. Fifth spirit skill, explosive dragon flame cannon. The Ember Dragon Duanshin had become blasted a condensed platinum fire beam from its mouth like a laser. Fifth spirit skill, clear sky protection. Tongqi crossed his dual hammers, conjuring a thick shield of scorching flame spirit power. The platinum beam struck the shield with a blinding light and a massive boom. The shield shuddered, and though it held, cracks spidered across it. Tongqi was thrown back a few steps, his blood and chi roiling, but he remained standing. Second spirit skill, clear sky blazing sun. Tongqi hurled one of his war hammers into the sky. The hammer became a massive flaming meteor, trailing a long tail as it fell like a miniature sun toward Duanshin. Duanshin answered with a heaven-shaking roar. Her platinum flames surged into a towering pillar of fire that swept the meteor apart midair. At the same time, she opened the dragon maw and spat a deeper purple dragon flame imbued with a corrosive aura. Tongqi's concentration tightened. Second spirit skill, hammer soul control, penetrate art. Under his will, the thrown hammer seemed to come alive, curving with uncanny precision to bypass the purple flame and condense an oppressive, piercing force at its head. It drove straight for the Ember Dragon's vital neck, the penetrate art executed to its fullest. At the critical moment, Duanshin activated her sixth spirit skill. Sixth spirit skill, Dragon Prison Flame Armor, a magnificent, ferocious armor of interwoven platinum, deep purple, and dark red flames wrapped her dragon form. Tongqi's lethal hammer strike smashed into the armor. Boom! The tri-colored armor detonated with terrifying energy, and an explosive force far beyond Tongqi's expectation recoiled. He screamed as he and his hammers were thrown backward. The dual hammers became scalding hot. Clinging tri-colored flames burned his spirit power even in midair. Fifth spirit skill, explosive dragon flame cannon. Duanshin pressed the advantage and fired another platinum beam straight at the destabilized Tongqi. Mid-flight, he forced his spirit power into a hastily activated clear sky protection. But a hurried defense could not withstand Duanshin's prepared assault. The beam struck, triggering another violent explosion. The impact shattered the shield, and escaping platinum flames licked the other warhammer, igniting it. Tongqi cursed, forced to temporarily dissipate his dual hammers to stop the flames from burning away his spirit power. After he landed, he quickly gathered himself and summoned his clear sky hammer, true body, anew. He knew he could no longer hold back. Eighth spirit skill, clear sky avatar, blazing clear sky strike. Tongqi poured his remaining spirit power into the dual hammers. Behind him, a colossal, fiery phantom took shape, wielding two giant flame hammers. The avatar followed his motions and brought the dual hammers down with an earth-shattering power that seemed capable of incinerating everything in its path. The Ember Dragon Duanshin let out an even higher-pitched roar. Her massive head reared, and within her maw, platinum dragon breath gathered, threaded faintly with a heartbeat-stopping black flame, the Ember Annihilation Flame. Ember Dragon Breath! A thick, condensed pillar of platinum light mixed with black flames surged forth like a reversed Milky Way, boldly meeting the falling giant flame hammers. Rumble! The dragon breath collided with the energy hammers in midair. This was no silent negation. It detonated into a world-shaking explosion. An energy storm swept the arena. The freshly repaired ground cracked and melted again. Everyone held their breath as the two energies battled. At first, the flame hammers held, but as Duanshin poured more spirit power into the breath, its light brightened, and the black flame's corrosiveness began to eat into the hammer's energy. Tongqi's face drained pale as his spirit power poured out like water. He neared exhaustion. After a grueling stalemate of about 3 minutes, the balance shattered. The platinum dragon breath finally pierced through the energy hammers. Unimpeded, the breath swept across like a divine sword. Wherever it passed, the ground did not merely melt, it vaporized, leaving deep, bottomless trenches with smooth, terrifying edges. Tongqi's soul skill was forcibly broken. He suffered a brutal backlash, spat blood, and staggered backward. He felt the burning pain in his hands and the near collapse of his spirit power. A bitter, resigned smile crossed his face. He sheathed his clear sky hammer and cupped his fists toward Duanxin, his voice hoarse but respectful. Miss Duan's strength is superior. Tangqi surrenders. I am impressed. The referee shouted the result. Top-tier combat round. 5th round. Winner, Yin-Yang Sect. Duanxin. Yay! I won! Duanxin cheered. Her massive dragon body circled gracefully in the air before the red light faded, and she returned to human form, landing lightly. She brushed off non-existent dust, tilted her head, and gave Yu Qing, watching from the stands, a brilliant, slightly smug, pleading smile, as if to say, "Look, I'm amazing, right?" Yu Qing saw the praise me look and could only shake his head with an indulgent smile, his eyes full of fondness. Aru, Zirui, and the others beside him smiled too, happy for Duanxin's victory. The newcomer Ling Yuan watched the scene and felt a few new layers of emotion toward the Yin-Yang sect. Powerful, yes, but warm and human as well. With Duanxin undefeated and Feng Ling in steady performance, the Yin-Yang sect finished the top-tier combat round with proud results, their points closely trailing the Clear Sky sect and leaving the other sects far behind. The smoke from the top-tier combat round had barely cleared. After a night of meticulous calculation and verification by the Spirit Hall, the moment everyone had been waiting for arrived, the rankings for the reselection of the 7 great sects. Eyes across the square, some expectant, some anxious, some burning with resolve, turned to the Supreme Pontiff's altar. An esteemed elder of the Spirit Hall held a shimmering golden scroll and amplified his voice with spirit power so it carried to every corner of the plaza. After verification, the total point rankings for the first 4 rounds of the 7 great sects reselection are as follows. Each name and score landed like a boulder in still water. First place, Clear Sky Sect, total score 78 points. A restrained cheer rose from the Clear Sky sect. Tang Zhen's face remained composed, but pride shone in his eyes. Second place, Yin-Yang sect, total score 78 points. Yu Qing smiled slightly. Aru and the others exchanged amused looks, and Duanxin lifted her chin in pride. A tie for first was an achievement that could fuel a rising power for years. Third place, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, total score 74 points. Ning Fengji breathed a quiet sigh of relief and fanned himself, satisfied. Chen Xin and Gu Rong nodded approvingly. Fourth place, White Tiger Sect, total score 70 points. At that announcement, the crowd erupted. In contrast, the direction of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect fell into a stunned hush. The White Tiger Sect's sect master punched the air with excitement and relief. Fifth place, Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect, total score 66 points. Yuanjin's face clouded. He clenched his fists until his nails bit into his palms. Without the points from Yu Luoxing's 2 matches, his sect had been pushed out of the top 4, a bitter humiliation. Sixth place, Fire Leopard Sect, total score 62 points. Seventh place, Windsword Sect, total score 60 points. With that, the provisional new 7 great sects were set. Clear Sky Sect, Yin-Yang Sect, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, White Tiger Sect, Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect, Fire Leopard Sect, and Windsword Sect. The Elephant Armored Academy, the defensive powerhouse that had headed the old lower 4 sects, fell short by a narrow margin. Hu Yanjin looked drained as he led his disciples away from the square, never once glancing back. But this was only the opening. The true reckoning, the sect master round that would decide the ultimate rankings and the coveted seats in the upper 3, was about to begin. Surprisingly, the White Tiger sect, which often sent neither its best nor full members to this round, announced a high-profile participation this time. They registered a level 91 titled Douluo as their main combatant and a level 87 Spirit Douluo as support, stating they would use the one combatant, one support mode, limited to a single joint combat opportunity. Yu Qing's eyes flashed with recognition. As he murmured to Aru, "As I thought, with the White Tiger Spirit and that Hell Civet Spirit, they'll try to trigger the Spirit Fusion technique, Hell White Tiger, at a critical moment. They intend to fiercely defend 4th place and might even try to break into the upper 3. Only the top 5 sects qualified for the Sect Master round: Clear Sky Sect, Yin-Yang Sect, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, White Tiger Sect, and Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect. The rules were tweaked. Rather than being limited to 2 fixed participants, any titled Douluo in a sect could be sent. Across 5 matches, a sect could, in theory, field up to 5 different titled Douluos. It was the ultimate test of a sect's peak strength. For most, however, 1 or 2 titled Douluos was the maximum they could muster. The confirmed lineups read like a challenge. Clear Sky Sect, Sect Master Tang Zhen, level 97, and the newly promoted titled Douluo Tang Xiao, level 91. Yin Yang Sect, Yu Qing, level 97 plus, and Aru, power unknown, at least an advanced Super Douluo. 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, Sword Douluo Chen Xin, level 95, and Bone Douluo Gurong, level 94. White Tiger Sect, a level 91 titled Douluo, primary, and a level 87 Spirit Douluo support to trigger Hell White Tiger. Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect, only Sect Master Yu Yuanjin, level 95, stood ready. After the lineups were set, each sect withdrew to make final preparations. The tension in the air was as thick as storm clouds. That night, in the Yin-Yang sect quarters, Yu Qing personally prepared a lavish celebratory feast to reward Duan Xin, Feng Lingyan, and the others for their performances in the top-tier combat round. The table was overflowing, the atmosphere warm with laughter and congratulations. To the Yin-Yang sect, may our name spread, Duan Xin toasted, cheeks flushed with excitement. Congratulations, Sister Xin. Congratulations, Sister Lingyan. Shui Wue, Shu Xiang, and the others chimed in. Aru sat close to Yu Qing, smiling as she took in the lively scene. Yu Qing felt that deep, satisfying sense of accomplishment that comes from leading people to victory. As his eyes lingered on Duan Xin, whose excitement made her even more charming, he began to think like a man rewarded for a job well done. Which little vixen should I reward first? He mused privately. Seener contributed a lot this time. She deserves something big, but Lingyan worked hard too, maybe a spirit bone for her. That night, Yu Qing proved true to his intentions and gave Duan Xin a personal commendation that lasted until she begged for respite and fell asleep with a satisfied smile. But his rest would be short. The door opened again, and Aru entered in a soft nightgown, a lazy, inviting smile in her pink eyes. Qing, you worked hard today, didn't you? But the celebration isn't over yet, she purred. Yu Qing could only groan inwardly. This night promised to be another sleepless one. After another prolonged round of sect construction, Yu Qing and Aru finally welcomed dawn utterly exhausted. Time flew, and the day of the Sect Master round, when final rankings would be decided, had arrived. Thanks to the Yin Extreme Reverse Yang art, Yu Qing felt limber and alert. He led the radiant Aru, whose eyes shone like spring, to the specially prepared competition site, a vast, reinforced canyon on the outskirts of Spirit City. The crowd that day eclipsed previous events. Everyone wanted to see how the continent's top-titled Douluos would clash. As the 5 great sects gathered, their powerful auras met, and the spirit power in the air grew thick and viscous. The Pope of the Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong, presided over the proceedings personally. When she announced the start, the matchups for the first round appeared on a giant light screen. Match 1, Clear Sky Sects Tang Xiao, level 91, versus White Tiger Sects Dai Tianfeng, level 91. The White Tiger Sect had not used their joint combat opportunity immediately, apparently choosing to test the waters or save their trump for a later round. Match 2, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School's Bone Douluo Gurong, level 94, versus Yin Yang Sect's Aru, strength unknown. A duel between an expert of peak defensive systems and a mysterious powerhouse, one measured strength against another's enigma. Match 3, Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect's Yu Yuanzhen, level 95, versus Yin Yang Sect's Yu Qing, level 97+. A direct grudge match, newcomers against old glory. The audience roared. A true clash of dragon and tiger was about to begin. Yu Qing and Aru exchanged a look of mutual confidence and fierce intent. He squeezed her hand and murmured, "Be careful. Gurong's bone dragon spirit has incredibly tough defenses and is hard to predict." Aru answered with a mischievous smile, a crafty gleam in her eyes. "Don't worry, Sect Master. I have plenty of experience dealing with skeletons." Under Yu Qing's affectionate, slightly exasperated gaze, Aru rose and walked toward the arena with graceful steps. Yu Qing turned his attention to Yuanzhen, whose aura burned like a volcano ready to erupt. The Sect Master round, first match, began. 168. Three Reds shocked the world. The first match of the Sect Master round began under the watchful eyes of the crowd. Tang Xiao of the Clear Sky Sect walked slowly into the canyon arena, the space around him sealed by a powerful barrier. His face was calm and his posture erect. He lacked the sharp ferocity of his brother Tang Hao, but the steady, mountain-like aura he radiated made clear the demeanor of a true grandmaster. His presence drew a chorus of gasps and excited whispers. "That's Tang Xiao, one of the Clear Sky twin stars. I heard he reached title Douluo at 50. Talent like that is unheard of. If the elder brother is this strong, what about Tang Hao? Could he break the record for the youngest titled Douluo? Sect Master Tang Zhen is blessed. 2 Douluos in one sect. Clear Sky will be secure for 100 years." All those envious and admiring looks turned toward the Clear Sky Sect, and Sect Master Tang Zhen couldn't help the satisfied smile at the corner of his mouth. On the stage, Tang Xiao faced Dai Tianfeng, the White Tiger Sect Master. Clear Sky Sect, Tang Xiao, level 91, attack type till Douluo, title Sky Whistling. "Please judge," Tang Xiao announced, cupping his fists. His voice was calm but carried the weight of authority. White Tiger Sect, Dai Tianfeng, level 91, attack type titled Douluo, title White Tiger. "Please." Dai Tianfeng returned the salute solemnly, careful not to show any sign of disrespect. When the match started, Tang Xiao did not rely on the raw crushing force his brother favored. His style fused the Clear Sky Hammer's overwhelming strength with exquisite technique. The hammer in his hands could feel as light as a feather or as heavy as a mountain. He executed the profound truths of the Clear Sky 9 absolutes: control, shock, break, burst, entwine, and the rest, with near perfection. Seamless spirit ability transitions made his offense flow like clouds and water, yet crash like relentless waves. Though Dai Tianfeng's White Tiger spirit was famed for ferocity, Tang Xiao's balanced mastery of strength and technique kept him restrained. He had power, but could not fully bring it to bear. He was suppressed for the entire match and never found an opening. As expected of the Sky Whistling Douluo, his hammer technique has already reached a transcendent level. Sword Douluo Chen murmured from the VIP seats, eyes bright with the urge to test himself. Dai Tianfeng knew the gap between them was too wide. To keep struggling would only waste spirit power and hurt his chances later with the Hell White Tiger. After holding on for roughly the time it takes an incense stick to burn, he retreated, cupped his fists, and conceded. "Sky Whistling Douluo, your strength is supreme. I, Dai, am impressed. I concede." Tang Xiao withdrew his hammer, nodded once, and replied, "Thank you for the match." He returned to the Clear Sky area, where the impatient Tang Hao immediately slapped his brother on the shoulder and shouted, "Brother, why dally with that old White Tiger? You should have gone all out and finished him in 2 or 3 blows." Tang Xiao smiled wryly at his aggressive brother and explained calmly, "How, the Clear Sky Hammer is indeed dominating, but if you pursue brute force blindly, flaws appear in your form. Against a truly powerful opponent, those flaws become fatal. Strength and technique are both indispensable." Tang Hao waved him off confidently. "Don't worry, brother. With the Slaughter God domain enhancement and the profound truth of the Great Sumeru Hammer, brute force beats technique. At the same level, no one can take a full-strength strike from me head-on." Tang Xiao knew his brother was stubborn and said no more, patting his arm before turning his attention to the stage. The second duel had already begun. Aru of the Yin-Yang sect versus Bone Douluo Gurong of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Their battle started quietly, with no earth-shattering spirit ability clashes. It felt like 2 martial grandmasters testing each other's skill. Aru moved like drifting willow catkins, her attacks a perfect blend of hardness and softness. Gurong's bone dragon spirit was strange and implacable. His defense was like a fortress. They intercepted and countered each other at high speed, creating a dazzling display of technique. But underneath the seemingly even contest, Gurong's confidence slipped. He felt that within Aru's delicate attacks lay a terrifying amount of power. Each collision made his bones tingle, as if he were facing not an agility attack spirit master, but a super Douluo of strength. Worse, it seemed she hadn't used her full strength. Is she testing me? Or, he thought, I can't let this drag on. I must force out her true power. Gurong stopped holding back. Seventh soul skill, martial soul true body, bone dragon, he roared. Boom! A massive bone dragon true body, assembled from pitch-black bones and burning blue soul fire in its eye sockets, coiled across the arena. A deathly aura spread out. The optimal 9 spirit rings, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, and 5 black rings, flared and circled him. Fourth soul skill, bone prison. Gurong struck first. The bone dragon's roar split the ground beneath Eru's feet. Dozens of thick, sharp bone spikes, glinting like metal, burst forth and wove together into a giant white bone cage that trapped her. The bone prison was not only unbelievably sturdy, but also suppressed spirit power. Even many titled Douluo would struggle to escape quickly if trapped. Inside the bone prison, Eru casually tapped a cold spike with one slender finger, producing a crisp knock. The hardness is good, she remarked, a slight smile on her lips. Then she raised her long leg and delivered a whip-like kick that whistled through the air and slammed into the bone prison. Crack, crack, crack! The sound of shattering filled the arena. The shell of the bone prison, meant to hold a titled Douluo, sprouted dense, spiderweb-like fractures. Gurong's pupils constricted. How pure physical strength! He dared not hesitate and immediately ignited his 6th soul ring. 6th soul skill, Bone Dragon Ethereal Array. Countless eerie formation runes made of bone sprang up, covering the arena. The formations disrupted space, making teleportation difficult, and emitted waves that interfered with mental force. Gurong reinforced the crumbling bone prison. Even under this double restriction, Aru only shook her head slightly. A trace of amused helplessness shone in her pink eyes. Bone Douluo, your methods are exquisite. If I were your level, I'd truly need to exert effort to escape. Unfortunately, her aura shifted. A majestic surge of spirit power erupted like a waking volcano. Soft bone jade rabbit, possession! A soft pink light flared. Aru's figure seemed to grow lighter and more nimble. Her ears lengthened and became slightly pointed, her skin taking on a jade-like luster. Most staggering of all were the spirit rings that rose beneath her feet. Purple, 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 black, 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 red, red, red. 3 red rings, 300,000-year spirit rings. When those 3 blood jade red halos appeared beneath Aru's feet, time in the canyon seemed to freeze. Then a tidal wave of astonished reactions swept through the arena. Red, red, 3 of them. Am I seeing things? 100,000-year rings? 3 of them. How is this possible? Even 100,000-year ring for a titled Douluo is legendary, and she has 3. What a prodigy! What kind of geniuses are in the yin-yang sect? In the VIP section, the former Supreme Pontiff Qian Shunji sprang to his feet, face draining pale. His body trembled, shock, disbelief, and a jealous, fearful sting flickered across his features. As the inheritor of the Seraphim spirit, he had yet to obtain a single 100,000-year ring. First, Duan Xin in the yin-yang sect, and now Aru with 3. This was an affront to his pride. Qian Daoliu, who sat in the highest seat, finally betrayed a flicker of emotion on his normally unreadable face. His gaze fixed on the 3 red rings, and a huge ripple rose in his heart. 300,000-year spirit rings. With Yu Qing and the yin-yang sect, giving Shu'er to them could truly open an unprecedented future for my angel clan. At that thought, his resolve only hardened. On the stage, Gurong's initial shock had been replaced by a bitter smile. 300,000-year spirit rings, he said hoarsely. All his tactics and confidence seemed flimsy in the face of such an overwhelming gap. Aru smiled faintly. With a flick of her body, she slipped out of the bone prison and the ethereal array as easily as if stepping through open air. The restrictions were meaningless to her. She hovered in midair, her skirt fluttering like a goddess descending. The red 8th soul ring beneath her feet flared. Bone Douluo, you are renowned as the continent's #1 in defense, she said gently, but her voice carried absolute authority. Next, let me personally verify whether you live up to that title. She raised a slender jade hand and pointed at the massive bone dragon true body below. An indescribable, terrifying pressure slammed down and locked onto Gurong. 169. Moonlight shatters bones, golden leaves appear. The duel between Aru and the bone. Douluo Gurong had reached its peak after Aru revealed her 3 shocking 100,000-year spirit rings. The crowd held its breath, desperate to see what kind of spirit abilities someone with heaven-defying rings could possess. Ninth spirit ability, bone transformation god dragon. Gurong roared, and his martial soul true body exploded into that massive, armored bone dragon, nearly absolute defense incarnate. Aru's face remained the same gentle, water-like smile, but a hard light flashed in her pink eyes. She lifted her long, graceful leg as if beginning a dance. The bright red 8th spirit ring beneath her foot flared to life. 8th spirit ability, Rising Moon 8-stage kick. At her clear command, something strange happened. Over the sunlit canyon, it was as if an invisible brush painted a slice of night. A flawless full moon, cold and silver, coalesced out of thin air and hung above the stage. Moonlight poured down like liquid silver, bathing the ferocious bone dragon and the ethereal Aru in a dreamlike glow. But beneath that beauty lay a lethal intent. With the moonlight enhancing her, Aru's speed reached its limit. She became like a moon elf, appearing instantly at the bone dragon's true body. The first kick tapped the dragon's massive frontal bone, light but precise. The dragon shuddered. The second was a spinning roundhouse. Her heel smashed the joint where the dragon's neck met its skull. Crack. The sound of bone breaking rang out. The bone dragon howled, its huge head snapping backward. A row moved like a flicker, third kick, fourth kick, each strike arriving faster and harder than the last. Leg shadows filled the air, moonlight flowing with them. Each stage of the kick multiplied the force of the previous. Aru's final stages were devastating. The bone dragon's colossal body and near-ultimate defense could not catch her. It could only endure blow after blow, feeling as if invisible. Clear sky hammers hammered its bones until they groaned. The fifth kick shattered one wing. The sixth lifted its bulk from the ground. The seventh, a drilling spin, tore open a vast hole in its chest. For the eighth, Aru appeared directly beneath the dragon and condensed all the moonlight within her into the tip of her toe, a brilliant moon-white pillar that drove upward like divine judgment. Boom. The bone dragon was kicked into the air, a broken kite, and shot straight into the condensed spirit moon overhead. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stop. The moment the dragon touched the moon flared with a blinding, indescribable light, and then it detonated. A roaring storm of energy cascaded down. The destructive shockwave of moonlight threatened to utterly consume the already shattered bone dragon. At that instant, Gurong spent the last of his spirit and mental reserves to trigger his life-saving trump card. 8th spirit ability, Space Gate. A gate of white bones split open in front of the bone dragon and swallowed it. The explosion then obliterated the space where the gate had been. As the dust and light thinned, the edge of the stage distorted and Gurong staggered back into view, forced out of his martial soul true body. He was deathly pale, blood trickling from his mouth, aura withered, clearly grievously injured but alive. He looked at Aro as she drifted down from the fading moonlight, pristine and unmarked. Fear, shock, and a strange gratitude flickered through his eyes. He knew she had the power to stop him before he used space transfer, but she had not. "I surrender," he said hoarsely. "Thank you, Excellency Aru, for showing mercy." Aru landed lightly, the moonlight dissolving behind her. She bowed once and said softly, "The bone Douluo's defense is peerless, and your spatial techniques are exquisite. It was a good match." The canyon erupted around them. Gasps, shouts, heated discussion. Too strong. Each kick was worse than the last. That final explosion, if he didn't have a space ability, he would have. People from the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School rushed forward to support Gurong and called for healers. The sword Douluo Chen Xin watched Aru with gravity, a hand drifting unconsciously to his 7-kill sword. This opponent was far stronger than he'd expected. On the Clear Sky sect side, Tang Zhen's expression was heavy. The strength Aru had displayed suggested she was at least a level 96 Super Douluo, possibly higher. That was a dire new threat. With Aro's victory, the Yin-Yang sect had taken another match, and the pressure shifted to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect for the next bout. After a short break to repair the site, the massive pit Aru had kicked and the remnants of moonlight cleared, the final, most anticipated battle of the Sect Master round began. Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect Master Yu Yuanjin versus Yin-Yang Sect Master Yu Qing. One was an Old Guard Sect Master, a level 95 attack system, titled Douluo famed across the continent for his Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Spirit. The other was the leader of an ascending power, registered spirit power rank 97, mysterious, and never publicly fought. Most expected a titanic clash. Rank gaps could be offset by spirit quality, ability combinations, and experience, and Yuanzhen's sect heritage was formidable. But when both men stepped on stage and Yu Qing released his spirit, the crowd went silent. There was no violent aura, no sudden fluctuation of energy. In Yu Qing's palm floated a single golden leaf, glazed with veins like threads of gold and a gentle luster that radiated a majestic life aura. From him spread an extraordinarily dense vitality that pulsed outward, making the battered stage spring to life. Fresh green shoots pushed stubbornly through the scorched earth even at the rim of the arena. Life attribute? A leaf spirit? Plant system? Is Sect Master Yu a support-type spirit master? This is a level 97 support system, titled Douluo. How is that possible? Shock and bewilderment rippled through the canyon. Tang Zhen and Yu Yuanzhen exchanged looks. Hope flickered in their eyes. If Yu Qing were purely a support system, then despite his rank, his chances against Yu Yuanzhen's attack system prowess would be greatly reduced. Ning Fengji of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School, however, frowned, studying the leaf intently. This aura, I've seen it before. It's familiar, he muttered. Just as Yu Yuanzhen's mind brightened with the thought that the match might favor him, Yu Qing's spirit rings began to rise. One by one they lit. Black, 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 black. 6 deep black 10,000-year rings. The crowd had grown somewhat numb to over-limit absorptions from the yin-yang sect, but then the last 3 rings flared. Red, red, red. 3 dazzling 100,000-year rings, glowing like burning blood. 6 black and 3 red. A configuration that surpassed even Aru's 3 purple, 3 black, 3 red, one that overthrew everyone's comprehension. The canyon dropped into a stunned silence. Time seemed to freeze. Minds went blank. Chan Daoliu leapt to his feet, trembling with excitement, eyes alight. 6 black and 3 red. This isn't achievable by ordinary means. A god trial. He must have completed an extremely high-level god trial and been blessed by a divinity. Shuer must go to him. Bibi Dong's purple eyes swam with complex feelings. Shock, greed, caution, and a longing she hadn't realized was there. Yuanzhen's fleeting confidence dissolved into boundless horror. Looking at those 9 spirit rings, especially the 3 blood-red 100,000-year rings, he felt as if his heart were being crushed by an invisible fist. How could he possibly fight this? Yu Qing looked calmly at the pale-faced Yu Yuanzhen and smiled, a gentle smile that carried an otherworldly indifference. He did not take an offensive stance. He merely raised his right hand and made a casual gripping motion toward Yu Yuanzhen. It seemed an ordinary gesture. No rings flared, no fanfare. Then space around Yu Yuanzhen distorted. From that distortion, a gigantic palm of pure purple stellar energy manifested, like a 5-finger mountain of stars, and closed over Yu Yuanzhen and the crackling blue lightning that surrounded him. Star Luo Hand. Yu Qing's voice was soft and composed. Yu Yuanzhen felt with growing terror that his majestic level 95 spirit power had gone utterly still. He could not mobilize even a shred of force. The roar of the blue lightning tyrant dragon spirit was choked off, its dragon might suppressed. He was sealed like an insect in amber, resistance impossible. Absolute control, absolute domination. For every spectator, titled Douluos and ordinary spirit masters alike, only one realization remained. Yu Qing had just shown the entire continent what absolute strength looked like, and he had done it with the most effortless grace imaginable. 170, burning stars and shattering the sky, an absolute crushing defeat. Yu Qing walked toward Yu Yuanzhen, who hung immobilized in midair, trapped in the giant purple starlight hand. His steps were slow and unhurried. A faint, leisurely smile played on his lips. To Yu Yuanzhen, that smile felt more agonizing and humiliating than any savage killing intent. He slammed his spirit power, 95 rank majestic power, into a desperate attempt to break the restraint. The blue lightning tyrant dragon's furious thunder roared through his meridians, but it struck an invisible, indestructible wall. All the force vanished without even stirring a ripple. He tried to shout, but his vocal cords were sealed. He tried to move, but he could not so much as bend a finger. For the first time in his long career as a sect master of the upper 3 sects, Yu Yuanzhen felt the helplessness of an ant. What spirit ability is this? Why is its ceiling so absolute? It even freezes the martial soul true body and spirit flow completely, he thought, panic and calculation warring in his head, but every possibility he found only deepened his despair. When Qing stopped less than 3 feet in front of him, everyone in the canyon, every peak expert, could not have predicted what came next. Qing raised his right hand, not to condense spirit power, not to cast an ability, but as if admonishing a wayward junior. He delivered a single, light, razor-sharp slap. A clear slap landed squarely on Yuanzhen's face. The force was modest. To titled Douluo, it left no lasting mark. But the contempt behind it scorched through Yuanzhen's pride like a hot iron and seared the souls of every disciple of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. The continent's #1 beast spirit, is it? Qing asked, tilting his head, his voice teasing. Slap, another. The glory of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon, he continued, eyes cold and indifferent. Slap, slap, slap! The crisp smacks cut through the canyon's silence, each one hammering at Yuanzhen's dignity. As the proud, rank 95 sect master, when had he ever been humiliated like this? Rage surged inside him like molten lava. His stare burned with palpable hatred. In his humiliation, he even began to doubt himself. Can a 2-rank difference in spirit power really make such a gulf? Sensing the hatred, Qing seemed satisfied. A faint purple halo winked at his feet, and he drifted back like a specter, instantly retreating more than 100 meters. With a casual wave, the giant purple starlight hand dissolved silently, as if a sand sculpture blown away by the wind. No sooner had the bind vanished than Yuanzhen's repressed fury and spirit power exploded like a volcano. He roared, bloodied, humiliated, murderous. Qing, you deserve to die! Blue-purple lightning tore into the sky. Yuanzhen's body swelled and underwent dragon transformation. Scales blackened, hands became claws, and the 7th spirit ring under his feet flared. 7th spirit skill, martial soul true body, Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. A titanic thunder dragon, larger and more terrible than before, braided with destructive lightning so deep it verged on purple, manifested on the stage. Its eyes were blood red, insane with the urge to rip its foe apart. This was his full-power true body unleashed in fury, surpassing anything he had shown. Qing watched with unruffled calm. He leisurely smoothed his sleeves, unmoved by the roaring behemoth. A faint curve lifted one corner of his mouth. It seems you still don't understand the gap between us, he said, his voice carrying easily through the canyon. Fine, let me personally show you the difference. The aura around Qing shifted. Star-burning battle method, open. Boom. A terrifying, indescribable aura erupted from him. A layer of magnificent purple-gold chi ignited across his body. It wasn't hot, it felt cold and boundless, like the starry void. His hair moved, though there was no wind, and his eyes looked as if they contained the birth and death of stars. The air thickened and warped beneath the pressure. Atop the VIP stands, Qiandaolu's pupils narrowed. The ancient well calm on his face finally broke into solemnity. His fingers tightened on the armrest. His heart trembled. The energy Qing now displayed could threaten someone at rank 99. As expected of the gods chosen, he had a heaven-defying secret method. Tang Zhen, Chen Xin, Gu Rong, and the other peak experts likewise went grave. The Qing standing there now was not the same one who had used the life system spirit earlier. This was a qualitative leap. Yuanzhen felt that pressure most of all. The purple-gold chi pressed down as if the entire firmament were collapsing on him. Fear, an utterly foreign, nameless fear, drowned his rage. He knew he could no longer hold back, or he would die. 9th spirit skill, True Dragon's Wrath, shaking the 9 heavens. He roared and poured every ounce of spirit power into a final barrage. The 9th spirit ring bloomed white-hot on his dragon body. 9 immense thunder dragons, condensed from raw, destructive lightning, formed about him. They were terrifyingly lifelike, scales, claws, roars that shook the heavens, filling the sky above the canyon with a blue lightning hell. The spatial barrier groaned under the fluctuations. Tang Zhen clicked his tongue with a hint of schadenfreude. Such a full explosion of the 9th consumed enormous spirit power. Even if Yuanzhen survived, he'd be too drained for later rounds. Ning Fengji shook his head on behalf of the 7 treasure-glazed tile school. The sect master had been driven to a careless move. Bibi Dong, up on the Supreme Pontiff's throne, curled her lips in contempt. all power and no brains. Facing the world-shattering nine-dragon onslaught, Qing finally moved, but not with flashy evasions or spectacular spells. He simply raised his right fist. Purple-gold chi condensed there like a tiny star. 4 forms of star-shattering, ruin. He spoke 5 words softly and threw a simple punch. There was no cataclysmic display, no blinding lights, only the odd sensation that space itself was being erased where the fist passed, leaving a faint, distorted scar. The first Thunder Dragon had no time to explode. Where the fist touched it, the body began to vanish as if rubbed out, disintegrating inch by inch, not smashed but erased. The second and third followed. The fist pierced the dragons like a razor through tofu, ignoring energy shields and physical defenses. In absolute, crushing calm, it annihilated each mountain-toppling thunder beast. The process was quiet, an almost solemn stillness. This is impossible. Yuan Zhen's dragon eyes were wide with shock. His strongest attack had been so utterly undone. The spectators stared as if frozen, mouths hanging open. Their entire understanding of spirit ability combat had been overturned. But it wasn't over. The fist force that had erased the 9 dragons kept traveling, straight and unstoppable. In the next instant, it struck the core dragon true body that Yuan Zhen had assumed. A strange vibration shivered the air, as if space itself mourned. Purple gold cracks webbed outward across the dragon's scales like shattered porcelain from the point of impact. No! Yuan Zhen could only emit a short, desperate wail. Bang! The massive Thunder Dragon true body imploded, dissolving into countless blue motes and electric filaments that scattered and dissipated between heaven and earth. There was no gore, only pure energy being torn apart. His original body fell from midair like a discarded bag. Blood sprayed from his mouth in a tragic arc as he crashed onto the edge of the stage, kicking up dust. He lay there, motionless. Whether he lived was unclear. A silence like drowning settled over the canyon. Everyone looked as if their throats had been constricted, unbelieving gazes fixed on Qing, who withdrew his fist slowly. The purple-gold chi around him ebbed away, as if he had done nothing more than a trivial thing. One punch. Just one punch to crush a martial soul true body and shatter the 9th spirit skill of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect Master, Yuan Zhen. What kind of terrifying strength was this? After a long moment, Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong inhaled and suppressed the tumult in her heart. She floated down to the stage and declared, her voice trembling almost imperceptibly, "This Supreme Pontiff announces the 3rd match of the first round of the Sect Master round. Winner, Yin-Yang Sect, Qing." As the announcement fell, the silence broke into a tumult of shocked exclamations and frantic discussion. A one punch? Yuan Zhen, lost? Just like that? That's a rank 95 Super Douluo, a Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. As expected, only an even more abnormal monster could cultivate a monster like him. Tang Zhen's face went pale. He stared at Qing, the feeling of luck gone. This man's strength is unfathomable. That punch, if it hit me head-on, I wouldn't survive. Against him, I must use my final trump card. Ning Fengji turned to Chen Jin dryly. "Uncle Sword, with my full support, could you draw with him?" Chen Jin, 7-kill sword in hand, his usually piercing eyes grave, slowly shook his head. Not even a 10% chance. His power is beyond conventional spirit abilities. That isn't just spirit power, it's a higher order of force. Even Gu Rong, who often argued with Chen Jin, fell silent, looking bitterly at the unconscious Yuan Zhen on stage with a shared sense of grief. This peak duel, which many had expected to be a titanic clash between dragons and tigers, had ended in a crushing, almost cruel one-sided defeat. 171. Dragon and Tiger Fight and Sword Heart Test of Sharpness. Qing, as if he had only finished a warm-up, returned to the Yin-Yang Sect spectator area with complete ease. His Dao companions greeted him with admiring, slightly reproachful looks. Across the arena, the people of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect moved in gloom, hurriedly carrying their unconscious sect master Yuan Zhen away for emergency treatment. Qing's punch, destruction, had been aimed to shatter Yuan Zhen's fighting spirit and defenses without touching his core life force. Even so, Yuan Zhen had been gravely injured. Without 10 days to half a month of careful recovery, simply getting out of bed would be a testament to his constitution. Competing in the upcoming Sect Master rounds was out of the question. The only ones truly delighted were the White Tiger sect. White Tiger Douluo Tianfeng watched Yuanjin borne away, his face split in a triumphant grin. Ha! Heaven favors me. Old dragon, even you have a day like this. Fourth place is secure now, maybe even more. He was already daydreaming about stepping over the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect in the rankings. 3 days passed in a flash. When the sects gathered again at the Canyon Arena, patched up after several destructions and reinforced at great expense by Spirit Hall, the tension in the air had only grown. Yu Qing's gaze drifted toward the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect and happened to meet the eyes of Yu Yuanzhen, who had just woken and could only sit with difficulty. Though treatment had improved his complexion, his eyes were dull and his aura weak. At the sight of Yu Qing's calm, unflickering stare, Yu Yuanzhen immediately lowered his head like a startled rabbit, his whole body trembling. Color drained from his face. The memory of being dominated 3 days ago was still a fresh, searing humiliation. Some scars were not erased by medicine alone. Tsk. His psychological resilience needs work, Yu Qing murmured, then withdrew his gaze. The giant light screen flickered and displayed the lottery results for the next round. First match, Clear Sky Sect's Tangxiao via 7 treasure glazed tile schools Bone Douluo Gurong. Second match, White Tiger Sect's Dai Tianfeng vs Blue Lightning Tyrant. Dragon Sect's Yuyan third match, Yin Yang Sect's Yu Qing vs 7 treasure glazed tile. Schools Sword Dulo Chen Xin fourth match, Clear Sky Sect's Tong Zhen vs Yin Yang Sect's Aru. The announcement sent a roar through the arena. These were grudge matches, and the fourth in particular promised fireworks. Clear Sky's current Hammer Emperor against the Yin Yang Sect's Soft Emperor. Blood ran hot at the thought. The first duel opened with Tang Xiao against Gu Rong, the ultimate contest of spear and shield. Tang Xiao's Clear Sky Hammer, a study in technical fusion, and the Clear Sky 9 Absolutes, poured on offensive pressure like a changing tide. Gu Rong's Bone Dragon Spirit pushed defense and spatial trickery to the limit, deploying Bone Prison and using bone-laced spatial maneuvers that were almost impossible to predict. Hammer shadows layered the arena, bone spikes loomed, occasional warps in space punctuated the battle. Tang Xiao's techniques were exquisite, but Gu Rong, with his 94 foundation of spirit power and the Bone Dragon's strange abilities, always answered crises at the last moment. He even used the Bone Dragon's spatial traversals to counterattack, leaving Tang Xiao frustrated, powerful, but finding nowhere to strike decisively. After a long exchange, Tang Xiao decided to stop wasting spirit power, especially with harder opponents ahead. He feinted, withdrew, and straightened, cupping his fists. Bone Douluo, your defense is peerless, and your spatial methods are breathtaking. I concede this match. Gu Rong deactivated his true body, panting, and returned the courtesy. Howling Sky Douluo is too modest. Your hammer techniques have reached the transcendent stage. If not for my higher spirit power, I would not have been able to withstand you. Thank you. The two exchanged respectful smiles and left the stage. Next came the most dramatic match of the round, the Dragon Tiger fight, White Tiger Douluo Dai Tianfeng versus a still recovering Yu Yuanzhen. Dai Tianfeng, cunning and ruthless in calculation, knew his opponent was broken and had no intention of risking a real exchange. He planned to wear the tired dragon down. When the duel began, Dai Tianfeng unleashed the slaughter and agility of the White Tiger spirit. He didn't meet Yu Yuanzhen head-on. Instead, he used speed to harry, to pester, to strike from angles. Razor claw winds and scorching White Tiger light waves clung to Yu Yuanzhen like taffy. If Yu Yuanzhen had been at full strength, he could have crushed this sly tiger in moments, but now his internal injuries flared with every exertion. His spirit power flowed sluggishly. Abilities he once commanded smoothly now stuttered, forcing him into a defensive, pathetic posture. Damn it! Yu Yuanzhen raged inwardly. A dragon stuck in shallow water is mocked by shrimp. A tiger on the plains is bullied by dogs. Humiliation and anxiety for his sect gnawed at him. Over time, his face grew paler and his aura more chaotic. Even his dragon transformation became difficult to maintain. Dai Tianfeng grew more playful, like a cat toying with prey. After blocking another barrage, Yu Yuanzhen coughed up a mouthful of clotted blood and swayed. He glanced at Dai Tianfeng's composed figure, then at the desperate, hopeful faces of his disciples. A crushing sense of a hero's desolation washed over him. He gritted his teeth until they bled, and in a voice that seemed to squeeze the last of his strength out of him, uttered 3 humiliating words: "I surrender." The words drained him. As they left his mouth, his black hair visibly streaked with gray and white, as if he had aged decades in an instant. The glory of his sect had withered under his hand. Dai Tianfeng's face split into a triumphant grin. He halted theatrically and cupped his fists. "Sectmaster Yu, thank you for conceding." The sarcasm stung. Yuan Zhen's vision blurred. He nearly fainted. The two left the stage in utterly different spirits. The farce of the dragon-tiger fight concluded. The arena's atmosphere, already taut, now ignited to a new pitch. Third match, Yin-Yang Sect's Yu Qing versus 7 treasure-glazed tile school's sword Douluo Continent. One was the enigmatic Yin-Yang Sect master who could fell opponents with a single punch. The other, a sword Douluo whose attacking power ranked among the continent's finest and whose life had been dedicated to the blade. This duel was the highlight of the round. As Chen Xin readied himself to step out, Ning Fengji leaned close and whispered, "Uncle Sword, should I activate the support token?" He knew Chen Xin's pride, but the power Yu Qing had displayed was frightening. Chen Xin hesitated only a moment. In his deep, ancient eyes, a fierce battle intent flared. He laid a hand on the hilt of the 7-kill sword and shook his head with quiet resolution. "No need, Fengji. I want to see for myself how great the gap truly is." He moved, launching toward the arena's center like a drawn blade. Yu Qing rose at the same time, his figure drifting into place directly opposite Chen Xin. They stood several dozen meters apart without exchanges of courtesy. The moment their gazes met, an invisible edge of qi and a vast, life-filled aura collided in the air. Chen Xin seemed to become an unsheathed divine sword, his sword intent sharp, peerless, cutting the air with a faint, whistling hiss. It was purity of attack and an unyielding will. Yu Qing felt a genuine stir of admiration, as expected of a peak Douluo with sword as his name. This sword intent and this single-mindedness are exceptional. In pure attacking purity, few could match him. Inside the canyon, there was absolute silence. Everyone held their breath, waiting for a duel that felt destined to be carved into history. 172. Galaxy Blade Intent vs 7-kill sword intent. Yu Qing looked at the old man before him, a lifetime devoted to the sword, and a trace of respect flashed through his eyes. He bowed slightly. "I have long heard that Senior Sword Douluo's 7-kill sword intent is unmatched on the continent, devastating in offense. Though I am not gifted, I have dabbled in the Tao of the saber. Taking advantage of this grand occasion, I humbly ask Senior for guidance." The crowd erupted. The Tao of the saber? Sectmaster Yu actually uses a saber. I thought his spirit was the leaf of life. He's using a tool spirit. A peak duel between saber and sword. This is more entertaining than any spirit ability clash. Chen Jin's normally still gaze showed the first sign of surprise. That surprise quickly kindled into fierce excitement. He had spent his life pursuing the pinnacle of the sword, pure offense. Facing another master who had reached the level of a Tao was exactly what he'd always wanted. Good, a Tao of the saber. Chen Xin clapped and laughed, his voice like a sword striking steel. "I have sought the ultimate realm of the sword my whole life. To meet Sectmaster Yu today is fortune indeed. Let this old sword test your saber's edge." Yu Qing smiled and said nothing more. He raised his right hand slowly, palm up. His eyes went deep, as if countless stars were born, died, and flowed within them. Then an immense, indescribable concept spread from him, like a sleeping galaxy opening its eyes. This was not a fluctuation of spirit power, but something more fundamental, closer to the laws themselves: intent. A brilliant silver-white light, condensed from innumerable particles of starlight, extended from Yu Qing's palm and formed a saber intent that was both illusion and reality, haloed with a galactic sheen. It was not a physical weapon, yet it cut sharper than any divine weapon. The sky above the canyon seemed to dim, all attention focused on that saber intent. "This is saber intent coalescence." Chen Qin's pupils constricted to pinpricks, his heart raced. The sword intent he had pursued his whole life now faced a new, equally peak manifestation of intent. The grand, ancient, star-consuming concept in that saber intent made his own sword intent feel like it confronted an entire universe. At the top of the VIP stands, Qian Daoliu, who who had sat composed until now, rose abruptly, his calm face flushed with shock. He stared at Yu Qing's galaxy saber intent, sensing an aura that transcended spirit power and brushed the edge of the laws. He murmured, voice trembling, "Laws? This is the taste of laws. He has already reached this step?" As High Priest of the Angel God, Douluo understood divine rank power better than most. He could feel that Yu Qing's saber intent had moved beyond mere intent, beginning to draw upon, even control, deeper cosmic laws, a reach no ordinary titled Douluo should have. Chenxin's battle intent did not waver. It burned brighter. Facing such an opponent, he would leave no regrets. "Excellent. Let my 7-kill sword intent test your galaxy saber's edge and see who is stronger," he cried out, unleashing without restraint. From his body erupted a sharper, purer, utterly decisive blue sword intent, thick with killing chi. The 7-kill domain bloomed. The canyon was dyed deep azure as countless sword chi, fine as ox hair, but sharp enough to tear the soul, filled the air. Spirit masters below Chenxin's rank felt their eyes sting and their souls reel at the sight, as if 10,000 swords aimed to pierce them. Slash! Almost simultaneously they moved. Yu Qing's wrist shifted, and the galaxy saber intent condensed into a subtle, extremely solid silver-white line that sliced outward, tearing space as if cutting a seamless seam. Chenxin pointed like a sword. An intensely compacted blue sword aura shot forth like a comet. The saber light and sword aura met in midair. There was no earth-shattering blast, only a peculiar glass-like sound. What followed stunned those who understood true combat. The indomitable blue sword aura, supposed to be unmatched in killing power, began to be eroded and assimilated by the silver-white saber light, like ice under a scorching sun. The saber light devoured the blue aura and grew brighter and more substantial. "My sword intent is being disintegrated and absorbed?" Chenxin's face drained. It shattered his comprehension. He did not hesitate. The true form of the 7-kill sword manifested. The 6th soul ring at his feet flared. Inside the domain, countless blue sword chi converged like called by a sovereign, forming thousands of tangible blue blades that swept toward Yu Qing in a torrent capable of leveling the canyon. Yu Qing's eyes, where the Star River had flowed calmly, suddenly quickened. He clasped the galaxy saber intent and slowly slashed. Star River slash. A saber light, compressing an entire galaxy within it, swept across the sky. Wherever it passed, space twisted and scenes shifted. Spectators seemed to see a boundless starry heaven unfurl inside the blade, stars spinning and nebulae being born and dying. The blade torrent struck that starry sky, and like a clay ox thrown into the sea, was obstructed and worn away by innumerable illusory star shadows until it vanished. 7th spirit skill, 7-kill true body. Chenxin pushed his sword intent to its extreme. The azure 7-kill sword intent surged back, ripping open a blue sword domain within Yu Qing's starry domain. For a moment, the canyon presented a magnificent clash, half a vast, profound star river, the other half an azure prison of swords, terrifying in its killing will. The two domains ground against each other with a grating friction. Kill! Chenxin's sword art changed. 6 massive sword lights braided into an ancient character for kill. This symbol carried the purest killing law. Wherever it passed, space cracked black, and the will to crush all things followed it toward Yu Qing. Break! Yu Qing tapped a fingertip. A fragment of the galaxy saber intent split off and became a star with a trailing tail of starlight, as if traversing time and space. It struck the center of the kill character with dead-on precision. Boom! The kill character and the star annihilated each other in blinding light and energy turbulence. 13 strings in a cup. Chenxin's technique shifted again, ethereal and strange. 13 formless but razor-sharp sword chi, like plucked zither strings, shot from tricky angles to envelop Yu Qing's vital points, performing a silent strangulation. Black hole horizon. Yu Qing's face remained calm. Space around him twisted, and a fist-sized miniature black hole, so deep not even light could escape, quietly opened. The 13 sword chi, drawn like iron filings, veered and were swallowed without resistance. His exquisite sword moves repeatedly broken, Chenxin inhaled sharply. The 8th spirit ring at his feet flared wildly. 8th spirit ability, 7-kill thunder rises, 1 sword breaks the sky. He condensed his lifelong sword cultivation into a single point. The 7-kill sword intent compressed into a colossal blue sword aura, lightning dancing at its tip. This attack abandoned all variations and embodied only the ultimate meaning of break: tragic, unyielding, capable of piercing time. It instantaneously shattered the spatial distortions before Yu Qing and lunged straight for his glabella. Annihilation. Yu Qing finally became serious. He cried out, and a small sun of saber intent formed, throbbing with oppressive fluctuation, then imploded and detonated. The explosion did not release light and heat, but instead unleashed endless, gloomy saber light imbued with the aura of ending and nothingness. Those saber lights surged like a tide toward the sky-breaking sword aura. Chichichi. The ultimate break met the ultimate annihilation. The blue sword aura was eroded visibly by the somber saber light and finally gave a mournful cry as it dissipated. Chen Xin, repeatedly thwarted, went pale, but the fire in his eyes blazed to the extreme. He gripped the sword with both hands, placing it vertically before his brow. His essence, qi, and spirit seemed to merge with the seven-kill sword. He intoned a profound sword art, and an older, vaster sword intent, inkwash-like, filled the air. Osmanthus trees in their prime cover 100 li, partridges cry through the cool noon shade. Peaks like blades by Yamping Ford, the sword departs, the river empties, the water flows long. Tao of the sword, Chen Xin. In that instant, Chen Xin became the sword. Man and weapon were one. Countless kill characters of varying sizes, each filled with lethal intent, appeared in every inch of space around Yu Qing, above, below, left, right, front, back, dense and utterly enclosing him. Each kill hung like a sharp blade over Yu Qing's head, its chilling intent nearly freezing the soul. It seemed a thought from Chen Xin would shred Yu Qing into dust. The arena fell silent, awed by the terrifying display, a sword purgatory that stole breath. Even Qian Daolu nodded and sighed. Chen Xin's descendant. Not bad. This Tao of the sword is nearly divine. Yu Qing, standing in the center of the storm, showed no panic. Instead, he laughed, exhilarated and bold. What a Tao of the sword, Chen Xin. This sword intent deserves a grand toast, he proclaimed. I shall return your courtesy with the strongest move of this galaxy saber Tao. This saber is named Star River Annihilation, a terrifying concept, vaster and more ancient than before, containing the cycles of the universe's birth and death, erupted from Yu Qing. The silver radiance no longer simply flowed, it became a surging river of stars. The world lost its color. The canyon, the mountains, even the spectators seemed erased and replaced by a boundless, slowly rotating starry river. Everyone felt dwarfed, suspended in the depths of the universe. Yu Qing pointed like a saber, and with a gentle stroke slashed at the dense prison of kill characters, at Chen Xin turned into the Tao of the sword. No sound, no light, only an erasure on the level of law. The packed kill characters, with their soaring killing intent, were silently annihilated one by one as if chalk marks wiped clean. Even the azure sword intent domain melted away like ice beneath the sun. Chen Xin groaned, his face ashen. Blood trickled from his mouth. Before the Star River and the law of annihilation, his indomitable sword heart felt like common iron trying to cut a galaxy, fragile and absurd. The starry illusion receded, the canyon returned to normal. Yu Qing stood calm, his aura steady, as if he'd done something trivial. Chen Xin leaned on the seven-kill sword, breathing hard, exhausted but enlightened. He straightened, wiped the blood from his mouth, and with utmost solemnity in the Tao of the sword cupped his fist and bowed to Yu Qing. Who, Sect Master Yu's Tao of the saber, is divine. Chen Xin, am utterly convinced of my defeat. His voice was hoarse but clear. Today's battle has shown me a vast world beyond the Tao of the sword. Thank you for your guidance. He lifted his head. Though disappointed by defeat, his eyes shone with a renewed resolve. This loss is engraved on my heart. If my Tao of the sword progresses in the future, Chen Xin will certainly call upon you again, Sect Master. Yu Qing returned the salute solemnly. Senior Chen Xin's pure sword heart is admirable. I too gained much from today's spar and will always welcome your visit. The two masters, each at the peak of a different Tao, exchanged smiles. A victor had been decided, but mutual respect between heroes only deepened. This duel of saber intent and sword intent, without gunpowder or spectacle, had proved far more thrilling than any spirit ability clash, and was engraved in the souls of everyone who witnessed it. 173. Tang Zhen, as steady as a rock. When Yu Qing and Chen Xian exchanged nods and walked off the stage side by side, the canyon fell silent, as if everyone were still bathed in the afterglow of that vast sea of stars and the slaughtering sword intent. But the sect master round did not pause. After a short break and field repairs, mainly to mend the space barrier shattered by sword intent and the sword array, the final match of the day, the most anticipated duel, was about to begin. Clear Sky Sect Master Tang Zhen, level 97, attack system Douluo, versus Yin Yang Sect Soft Empress Aru, level 96, agility attack system Douluo. One was a veteran powerhouse who had held the throne of the continent's top sect for years, his clear sky hammer renowned for shaking the world. The other was the pillar of the rising Yin Yang sect, the Soft Empress with 300,000-year spirit rings. With only a one-level difference in spirit power between them, this was destined to be a clash of dragon and tiger. When Tang Zhen's mountain-like, imposing figure and A-Rose, graceful, smiling form appeared together in the center of the canyon, the arena ignited anew. It's finally Sect Master Tang's turn. Clear Sky Hammer against 300,000-year spirit rings. Just thinking about it is a thrill. Do you think Clan Master Tang can force out the Soft Empress's 100,000-year spirit skill? It's hard to say. Clan Master Tang is inscrutable, but the Soft Empress showed terrifying strength earlier. In the VIP seats, important figures watched with narrowed eyes. The outcome would directly shape the final rankings of the upper three sects. On stage, the two faced each other. Tang Zhen's expression was calm, his eyes steady as torches, and his aura was dense and heavy, as if he were one with the earth beneath him, unshakable. Aru remained as gentle as flowing water, her pink eyes assessing the Clear Sky Master with faint curiosity. Clear Sky Sect Tang Zhen, I ask Her Eminence the Soft Empress for guidance, Tang Zhen said, cupping his fists. His voice was steady and powerful, carrying the natural majesty of a grandmaster. Yin Yang Sect, Aru, Clan Master Tang is too polite. Please show mercy. Aru bowed slightly, her voice soft and lovely, though those who knew her strength did not underestimate her for an instant. At the referee's signal, the battle erupted. Boom, Tang Zhen struck first. He did not seek explosive speed like his son Tang Hao. Instead, he stood his ground, firm as Mount Tai. The massive clear sky hammer in his hands radiated crushing pressure. Seemingly slow but terrifyingly deadly, it crashed down where Aru stood. The strike aimed to force Aru to reveal her movement skills, to test her reactions and habits. Aru smiled, her figure swaying like a feather. In an instant, she was 10 meters away, her signature spirit ability, teleportation. As expected, Tang Zhen thought, and did not let up. He pressed the disorder-splitting wind hammer method into action, strike after strike layering force upon force. Hammer winds howled and filled a wide area. He was in no rush. Each blow was heavy and precise, intended to block Aru's evasion paths and wear down her spirit power and will. She's really as steady as an old tortoise, Aru muttered inwardly, though a relaxed smile stayed on her face. She flickered through the dense hammer shadows like a butterfly among flowers. Each teleportation avoided the hammer's central impact. She also sent out pink light blades and binding Softbone's lock chains to harass and counterattack. Tang Zhen's defense, however, was watertight. He smashed, blocked, and parried, employing the Clear Sky 9 absolutes, defend, redirect, and shock to perfection, neutralizing Aru's strikes in a blink. His whole style emphasized steadiness, advancing step by step, suppressing with aura, never rash, impeccable. 7th Spirit Skill, Martial Soul True Body, Clear Sky Avatar. Tang Zhen finally used his Martial Soul True Body. The phantom of his Clear Sky hammer fused with him. His aura surged, hammer power magnified, and his effective range widened. 5th Spirit Skill, Gravity Mire. The 5th ring beneath Tang Zhen's feet glowed as a powerful gravity domain spread out from him. Aru suddenly felt heavy. Her teleportation's speed and distance were significantly hindered. Found you. A sharp light flashed in Tang Zhen's eyes. Seizing the moment when Aru lagged under gravity, he delivered a heavy blow infused with the profound truth of break, tearing through the air and aimed dead center. Seeing no way to evade, Aru's pink eyes glittered with craftiness and a golden light flashed across her body. Paragon, golden body! Clang! A deafening metallic clash rolled through the canyon. Tang Zhen's strike, powerful enough to split mountains, struck Aru but felt like hitting the hardest divine iron. The recoil numbed his arms. The hammerhead bounced high. Protected by the golden light, Aru remained unruffled, not even the hem of her robe fluttering. So she has such an absolute defense spirit ability. Tang Gen's heart chilled and he backed away. Aru dispelled the golden light, brushed off imaginary dust, and smiled. Clanmaster Tang's strength made my hands go numb. Tang Gen's face stayed calm, but the weight in his eyes deepened. Her methods were strange and unpredictable. Her teleportation and absolute defense countered an attack system spirit like the Clear Sky Hammer extremely well. He breathed, pushing the disorder-splitting wind hammer method to its limit. Hammer shadows raged in a violent storm around Aru. Aru grew serious in turn. She combined teleportation, Paragon Golden Body, and another clutch-saving skill, Void, slipping through Tang Gen's airtight hammer net. She launched exquisite counterattacks with spirit skills like Waist Bow and Soft Bones Lock. Though she couldn't inflict major damage, she forced Tang Gen to split his focus between offense and defense, preventing him from unleashing his full strength. For a while, a peculiar balance held. Tang Gen's offense was mountain-like and steady, but his blows felt like fist against cotton, unable to land a decisive hit on Aru. Aru's movement was bizarre, and her defense superb. Yet she too could not pierce Tang Gen's steady guard and heavy hammer techniques. Tsk. This Tang Gen really has the steadiness mastered. Yu Qing watched from the stands, interested. His Clear Sky 9 absolutes are at major achievement, especially defend and shock. Combined with deep spirit power, his defense is nearly flawless. Aru's teleportation and Paragon Golden Body can keep her from losing, but she can't win unless... He glanced at Aru's 3 bright red spirit rings. Unless she uses a 100,000-year spirit ability for absolute area suppression, but that would cost enormous energy, and Tang Gen surely has life-risking trump cards like Ring Explosion and the Great Sumeru Hammer. Both sides hold back. This will likely end in a draw. Sure enough, after another stretch of fierce exchange, about the time it takes an incense stick to burn, both sides had consumed much spirit power, but neither had gained advantage. Tang Gen's hammer rhythm slowed. Aru's evasions became more cautious. Finally, Tang Gen retracted his hammer and stepped back. The Clear Sky avatar faded. He cupped his fists to Aru, who had also halted, and said calmly, "Her Eminence Soft Empress's methods are superb. Tang is impressed. If this continues, it will be hard to decide a winner. Shall we call this match a draw?" Aru restrained her aura and smiled sweetly. "Clanmaster Tang is too modest. Your Clear Sky Hammer is steadfast as a mountain. Admirable. A draw is fine. No need to ruin harmony." They smiled at one another, a tacit understanding between experts who knew when to stop, and flew off the stage together. The highly anticipated duel ended in a draw. Some spectators felt disappointed, but the discerning knew this was the result best suited to both sides' interests. This wasn't the final ranking battle. No need to lay out all trump cards now. Well fought. Well fought. After the referee announced the draw, the two culprits cupped hands again and returned to their respective sect areas. On the yin-yang sect side, as soon as Aru returned, she threw herself into Yu Qing's arms, pouting. "Hubby, that Tang Gen is so annoying. He's as steady as 10,000-year profound iron. Flawless. My soft techniques couldn't even get close. I had the strength but couldn't use it. So frustrating." Yu Qing smiled, stroked her perky nose, and comforted her. "You forcing the sect master of the Clear Sky sect to propose a draw is already impressive. As the helmsman of the continent's top sect, Tang Gen is naturally steady and experienced. His tactic was to play to his strengths and avoid weakness, using the Clear Sky Hammer's aura to suppress your finesse. If not for your teleportation and golden body, any other agility attack spirit master would have lost long ago. This wasn't a life-or-death bout, so he wouldn't easily use his life-risking secret moves." "Humph, I know." Aru rubbed against Yu Qing's chest, but still sounded a little vexed. "I wanted to see how powerful that legendary Ring Explosion and Great Sumeru Hammer really are. Too bad I didn't get the chance." "If he used them," Yu Qing said, "the situation would be dangerous. After a Ring Explosion, his attack power would soar terrifyingly. Even your Paragon Golden Body might not hold. To win, you might also have to use a 100,000-year spirit ability. Too high a cost, too much commotion. Not worth the loss. Aru mulled it over and felt reassured. Then she leaned close, her breath like orchids against his ear, and smiled craftily. Then, hubby, you must compensate me well tonight to soothe my wounded soul. My kidneys are starting to ache again. Meanwhile, in the Clear Sky Sect area, Tang Zhen returned with a calm face, though an imperceptible weight lingered in his eyes. He instructed his eldest son, Tang Xiao, directly. Shower, if you draw Aro in the lots, concede. Tang Xiao blinked, puzzled. Father, her spirit skills are strange, but I might still be able to fight her? Tang Zhen shook his head, serious. Her teleportation, Paragon Golden Body, and that elemental spirit ability counter our Clear Sky Hammer too well. Especially if you're at an absolute spirit power disadvantage. She only needs to catch one flaw and you'll lose, maybe even be injured. No need for pointless consumption or risk. Tang Xiao was unwilling, but his father's reasoning made sense. He nodded. Yes, father, I understand. Tang Hao, standing nearby, suddenly lifted his head. His eyes burned with battle fervor and a stubborn hostility as he declared, Humph, father, I will defeat her sooner or later. Tang Zhen frowned at the second son, who both made him proud and gave him headaches. However, don't act on impulse. It's not impulse. Tang Hao clenched his fists until his knuckles blanched. It's an old grudge. Back in the Stardew Great Forest, she suddenly appeared and interrupted my best chance to hunt that Titan giant ape. And later, because of her, I missed my chance with that person. Ah Yin, even though I have a Yun now, I haven't forgotten that frustration. Tang Zhen looked at the fanatical resolve in his son's eyes and knew his stubborn nature well. Once he set his mind, nothing could pull him back. He sighed helplessly. Fine, if you insist, I won't stop you, but act within your ability and don't overreach. Don't worry, father. Tang Hao nodded, eyes fixed once more on the Yin-Yang sect. His battle intent rose like something nearly tangible. Aro, just you wait. I will defeat you sooner or later. 174. Tang Zhen versus Chen Jin. The 3-day rest passed in a flash. When the sects gathered in the valley again, the air was electric. Spirit Hall had just announced the cumulative point standings after the first 2 rounds of the sect master phase. The massive light screen displayed the results clearly. First place, Yin-Yang sect, 85 points. Second place, Clear Sky sect, 82 points. Third place, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, 79 points. Fourth place, White Tiger sect, 75 points. Fifth place, Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, 70 points. The announcement hit like a boulder in a still pond, sending ripples through the crowd. What? The Clear Sky sect dropped to second? The Yin-Yang sect overtook them, 2 wins and a draw, 3 points ahead of Clear Sky. Is the title of the continent's #1 sect really about to change hands? The murmurs rolled across the valley, all attention fixed on the Clear Sky sect and the Yin-Yang sect. Clear Sky had held the continent's top position for untold years. To see another sect press so closely on its heels was a shock to every spirit master present. Within the Clear Sky area, the mood was tense. Tang Zhen watched the numbers on the screen with an unreadable expression, his hands clenched slightly on his knees. 1 draw with Aru and 1 loss to Gurong had produced this unexpected outcome, but he quickly composed himself. Father, we. Tang Xiao opened, then stopped, his face tight with reluctance. Tang Zhen waved a hand and spoke steadily. It's fine. Points are temporary. Yin-Yang's Yu Qing and Aru are far stronger than we estimated. Rather than risking our sect's core strength, or even shaking our foundation for a title, it's better to proceed steadily. Sometimes being #1 is a burden. It was a sober assessment made for the long-term health of the sect. In the VIP seats above, Qian Daoliu heard it and shook his head slightly. Tang Zhen, oh Tang Zhen, he thought. Your son is cautious, but he lacks the ruthless ambition that built the Clear Sky Hammer's reputation. He's content to preserve rather than push forward. I fear he'll stop at where he is, never breaking into higher realms. The thought of his own son, Chan Shunji, and Yu Qing's brilliance left him with a complex mix of pride and bitterness. After a brief stir, the draw for the 3rd round began. The light screen flickered and then displayed the matchups. Match 1, Yu Qing, Yang Sect versus Daifeng, Weiger Sect. Match 2, Tang Zhen, Clear Sky Sect versus Chen Xin, 7 Treasure Glazed School. Match 3, Tang Xiao Sect versus Yuanjin, Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect. Match 4, Aru Nyang Sect versus Gurong, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Bye. They already fought in round 1. Reactions varied. For match 1, Dai Tianfeng's face turned pale when he saw his opponent, the monster who had flattened Yu Yuanzhen with a single blow. When the referee, Bibi Dong, called begin, Dai Tianfeng didn't manifest his spirit. He simply raised both hands and shouted, "I concede! Sectmaster Yu's strength is beyond me." It was abrupt and unequivocal. The crowd erupted with jeers and laughter. That white tiger Douluo just threw the match. He didn't even trade a move. He should have at least tried. But why humiliate yourself? Preserving strength is smarter. Dai Tianfeng ignored the commentary, bowed to Yu Qing, and stepped down. For him, holding 4th place mattered more than pride. Yu Qing smiled and returned to his seat. The match had barely started before it was over, leaving the audience a little unsatisfied. The real highlight was match 2, Tang Zhen versus Chen Xin. The clear sky hammer against the 7-kill sword, the continent's most powerful tool spirit against the strongest sword intent. This duel was the one everyone wanted to see. When the two stepped onto the stage, tension spiked. "Schoolmaster Ning, may I have your assistance?" Chen Xin requested without arrogance. This was a rare chance to fight with full support, and he intended to use it. Ning Fengji nodded. The 7-colored light beneath his feet flared. 7 treasures turned to glazed tile: strength, speed, spirit, defense, attack, attribute. 6 radiant rings descended into Chen Xin. With the pagoda's backing, his aura surged. His spirit power rose to nearly the level of a 96 Super Douluo. Sword intent condensed around him until even his gaze seemed sharp enough to cut. "Thank you." Chen Xin inclined his head to Ning Fengji before locking eyes on Tang Zhen. Tang Zhen's face was grave. When Chen Xin was supported, his attack power was terrifying. "Begin." Chen Xin moved first, becoming one with his sword as he tore forward in a blue streak. His swordplay was purer and more focused than before. Each strike carried the intent to sever. It was obvious his duel with Yu Qing had refined his art further. Tang Zhen was not careless. He swung the Clear Sky Hammer, unleashing the Clear Sky 9 absolutes to the limit, deflecting, guiding, shocking, and breaking with calm precision. He stood like a mountain against the storm of blades. Yet the buffed Chen Xin's sword intent was unbearably sharp. Sword light found the tiniest seams in the hammer's defense. Tang Zhen's robe split in places. Shallow cuts stained his skin. He was on the back foot. "Your sword has become deadlier," Tang Zhen admitted, admiration flashing across his eyes, then a flash of resolve. "Then let me show you the true legacy of the Clear Sky sect." He inhaled deeply. The 5th spirit ring, a deep black 10,000-year ring, suddenly erupted. Ring explosion! A torrent of energy burst through him like a dam breaking. Muscles bulged, veins stood out, and his spirit power leapt like a volcanic surge. The shattered spirit ring sent a violent wave of power through his bones. His aura instantly surpassed even the buffed Chen Xin. "What? Clan Master Tang Zhen has used the ring explosion's secret technique?" The crowd held its breath. Almost at once, both opponents unleashed their martial soul true bodies. A thunderous giant clasping a massive hammer and a blue divine sword that pierced the heavens locked against one another. The space around them twisted under the pressure. Chen Xin struck with 13 zither strings. 13 invisible sword intents shot from tricky angles like plucked strings. Tang Zhen's response was blunt and effective. Fueled by the ring explosion, his Clear Sky avatar swung a devastating hammer strike that embodied the collapse technique, absolute strength to smash technique. Absolute strength breaks all skills. Collapse! Where the hammer passed, space seemed to crumple. The 13 sword intents shattered like glass on impact. For the moment, brute force crushed finesse. Chen Xin's face paled. His 8th spirit ring flared. 8th spirit skill. 7-kill thunder rises. 1 sword pierces the sky. A blue lightning sword condensed and met the charging hammer head-on. The collision roared, a blinding flash ripping through the air as sword and hammer clashed in a storm of energy. The lightning sword shattered, and Tang Zhen's momentum was successfully checked, but the ring explosion's power kept pushing him forward. His hammer strikes came like ceaseless waves, each heavier than the last. Chen Xin unleashed the 7-kill sword techniques in full. Sword light flowed like a waterfall, forming a nearly airtight defense. Still, the torrent of Tang Zhen's power shook him, forcing him backward. After a heavy blow that fused ring explosion power and the hammer's force, Chen Qin could no longer fully neutralize the impact. He coughed, blood at his lips, his martial soul true body wavering. He slid back dozens of meters before regaining his footing, taking a breath to steady his blood and spirit. He knew the truth. To continue would require using his ninth spirit skill, a desperate gamble, and Tang Zhen still had reserves. Chen Jin withdrew the 7-kill sword slowly and met Tang Zhen's gaze. Clanmaster Tang, your strength is formidable. The ring explosion technique lives up to its reputation, he said, wiping blood from his mouth. I concede. Tang Zhen relaxed his aura. The effects of ring explosion ebbed, leaving him a little pale but still alert. He cupped his hands. Sword Douluo, you were gracious to yield. Your 7-kill sword intent is sharper than before. I'm impressed. The duel ended with a narrow victory for Tang Zhen. Though not a fight to the death, the skill and intensity on display satisfied the audience. Back in the 7-treasure glazed tile area, Ning Fengji stepped forward and the pagoda's light flared, sending a soft orb of healing into Chen Xin to stabilize him. Uncle Sword, are you hurt? I'll call a healing spirit master, Ning Fengji fretted. Chen Xin waved him off. Instead of disappointment, his face showed realization and contentment. It's fine, just spirit power vibrations and minor wounds. Fighting Tang Zhen and feeling that pure burst of power from his ring explosion gave me new insight into balancing power and sharpness. This match was worth it. The bone Douluo Gurong leaned over, clicking his tongue. Not bad, Swordman. You even forced Tang Zhen to use his ring explosion. You've gained face, even in defeat. Chen Xin glanced at him coolly. Old Bone, itching to test yourself again, I'll use you to try out the new sword intent when we return. Ha! My bone dragon's broken through lately, too. I happen to be in need of a tough target, Gurong shot back, unwilling to back down. Ning Fengji watched the old rivals bicker and smiled with relief. Chen Xin was fine and had benefited from the fight. It was the best outcome. On Clear Sky's side, Tang Zhen had won, but at a cost. Ring explosion drained him deeply. He would need time to recover from the ensuing weakness. He could only hope he wouldn't be paired against Yu Qing in the next round. 175. Great Sumeru Hammer vs Abyss Star Annihilation Slash. The final match of the third round pitted Clear Sky Sects Tang Xiao against Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sects Yu Yuanzhen. There was almost no suspense. Yu Yuanzhen, still badly injured and stripped of fighting spirit, lasted less than the time it takes to burn half an incense stick against Tang Xiao's steady, razor-sharp Clear Sky Hammer techniques and fell again. Seeing Yu Yuanzhen's ashen face and his hunched, broken posture, as if his spine had been wrenched out in an instant, countless spectators thought the same thing. The once great Beast Spirit sect was truly in decline. After the day's battles ended, Yu Qing returned to the Yin-Yang sect's quarters grinning, surrounded by his doting wives, Aru, Duanxin, Ziruyi, Purple Pearl, Shui Wuyue, Shui Wuxing, and the newly joined Ling Yuan, still in her probationary period. To reward him for his efforts in the tournament, his wives launched a thoroughly industrious, if intimate, sect construction seminar that night. The discussion's intensity and depth were for insiders only. Over the 3-day rest period that followed, Yu Qing spent his time in comfort and arranged a large dual cultivation session. Pure yin-yang power circulated through everyone, raising their cultivation and synergy. The fourth round arrived on schedule and produced few surprises. The three giants, Yin-Yang Sect, Clear Sky Sect, and 7-Treasure Glazed Tile School, won again. The only notable moment, White Tiger Douluo Dai Tianfeng finally used his one-allotted joint battle chance, fusing with his wife into the Hell White Tiger. That black and white colossus caused trouble for Sword Douluo Chen Xin, but before Chen Xin's 7-kill sword intent, tempered to even greater purity, it still fell. As for the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect, it was a sorry sight. Facing a fully primed Eru, Yuanzhen's expression blackened. He surrendered the instant the match began. He didn't want to stay a moment longer. Continuous blows had stripped the proud sect master of his spirit. At last, the sect master round's final and decisive matches arrived. The draw ignited the audience. Match 1, Yin-Yang Sect's Yu Qing versus Clear Sky Sect's Tang Zhen. Match 2, 7-Treasure Glazed Tile School's Chen Xin versus Yin-Yang Sect's Aru. Match 3, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Schools Gurong versus Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sects Yuanzhen. Match 4. Clear Sky Sects Tongxiao vs. White Tiger Sects Dai Tianfeng. Bye. Already fought. Match 1 was a King versus King clash. The entire canyon held its breath. No one wanted to miss a single moment. This wasn't merely a fight for points. It was a collision between the old and the new dominant powers. Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong inhaled deeply and announced, as calmly as possible, "Final round of the Sect Master round. Match 1. Yu Qing versus Tang Zhen. Begin." The two moved at the same instant. No testing, no restraint. Both unleashed their strongest states from the start. Determination flashed in Tang Zhen's eyes. He knew how terrifying Yu Qing could be and that ordinary methods wouldn't win. With a roar, his 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 8th spirit rings flared at once. Boom! He detonated 4 spirit rings simultaneously. Violent energy burst from him like a tsunami. Veins stood out on his skin, muscles ballooned, and his eyes turned bloodshot. Spirit power fluctuations boiled around him. A pressure far beyond level 97, almost grazing level 98, crushed down like something physical. The air thrummed and the ground cracked beneath his feet. Hiss! 4 rings exploded at once. Is Tang Zhen risking his life? My God, that aura! It's terrifying. Clear Sky Sect's forbidden, life-risking technique. No wonder it's infamous. Yu Qing showed no weakness. He activated the star-burning battle method. The star core in his dantian spun and burned at unprecedented speed. A vast purple-gold star aura soared up, forming a miniature rotating nebula behind him. Endless star power surged into him, strengthening every inch of flesh and every wisp of spirit. His aura rose, deep and expansive, like a connection to the starry sky itself. It stood equal to Tang Zhen's raw, violent force and could even be said to surpass it. The two pressures slammed together in the canyon's center, forming an invisible energy storm that made distant robes flutter. Tang Zhen felt power tearing through him, threatening to shred his body, and knew he couldn't hold this long. He fixed his stare on Yu Qing and, voice hoarse from the effort, said, "Sect Master Yu, you're strong, very strong. Conventional combat is pointless. How about we decide this with a single decisive strike?" Purple gold aura flowing around him like a descending star god, Yu Qing smiled slightly. "Calm as ever," he answered. "Since Clan Master Tang invites it, how could I refuse? Do it." "Good. Straightforward." Tang Zhen laughed, a sound edged with tragic resolve. He concentrated every ounce of energy from his ring explosion, his lifelong cultivation, and the will of the Clear Sky Hammer into a single point. Great Sumeru Hammer. With a roar that shook heaven and earth, the massive Clear Sky avatar phantom behind him solidified. Its blurred form became clear. Its blue hues shifted to a solemn mix of holy gold and tragic blood red. The giant hammer it held turned an intense blood red. A will that seemed intent on splitting the heavens and reshaping the cosmos locked onto Yu Qing. That's the Great Sumeru Hammer. Clear Sky Sect's ultimate profound truth. The legendary move that condenses all power into one strike. Clan Master Tang Zhen actually used it. In the VIP seats, Qian Daoliu sprang to his feet, eyes full of shock and recollection. Great Sumeru Hammer. Tang Chen, one of your descendants finally reached the threshold of this forbidden technique. Faced with that world-shattering blow, Yu Qing set aside his usual ease. He inhaled deeply and focused. Then the whole field fell silent at what he did next. Yu Qing slowly raised his left hand. A deep black radiance bled out into the palm, stretching and condensing until a Tang saber materialized, pitch black as the void, its blade seeming forged from solidified starlight dotted with drifting specks of light. At its hilt, an imposing lightning eye slowly opened. The saber exuded a terrifying aura, entirely different from the life tree leaf, an aura of silence, ending, and devouring. A second spirit. Twin spirits. Sect Master Yu actually has twin spirits. Look at those spirit rings. Red. Both are 100,000-year rings. Add the 3 red ones he showed before. He alone has 500,000-year spirit rings. And the rest of the yin-yang sect on top of that. Heavens, what kind of monster sect is this? Gasps and cries rippled through the crowd. Reality itself felt overturned. In the yin-yang sect area, a strange light flickered in Aru's eyes. "Is husband going to use that move?" she whispered. "Which move? Sister Ru, tell us." Purple Pearl urged, and the other women leaned in. Aru's face mixed fear and pride. "I've only seen him use this once. That single slash buried 300,000-year thousand-Jun ant emperors. They all stared at Qing with fresh awe and admiration. In the canyon's center, Qing gripped his second spirit, Black Star Sinking Abyss, with both hands and pushed the star-burning battle method to its limit. The nebula vortex behind him spun wildly, sucking heaven and earth essence chi from miles around. He rose into midair, purple-gold aura making him look like a descending deity. Clanmaster Tang, take this slash, Sunken Abyss Star Annihilation slash. Qing's voice rang cold and majestic, as if from the Nine Serenities. He raised Black Star Sinking Abyss high, the blade tip pointing at the firmament. In an instant, the canyon and even the distant sky dimmed, not from cloud cover, but as if all light were being devoured by the blade. Within the blade itself, scenes of thousands of stars being born and extinguished swirled with unnatural clarity. Behind Tongjen, the great Sumeru hammer phantom reached its apex. The blood-red hammer, infused with crushing intent, became a comet of vengeance, smashing toward Qing. Qing brought the saber down. No world-shaking saber energy roared outward, only a faint purple line carved through the night sky, silently slicing space. Yet the moment that thin purple line appeared, every soul heard an inner sound of collapsing stars. Where the line passed, space didn't merely fracture, it was annihilated. It left a trail of absolute nothingness where not even the void realm remained. The thin purple line met the blood-red hammer. There was no crash, no explosion, only an incomprehensible annihilation at the level of laws. Tangjen's immense hammer, carrying his life's power, the force of his four-ring detonation, and the profound truth of the great Sumeru hammer, was like a soap bubble in sunlight the instant it touched that purple edge. Without ripple or bang, it began to disintegrate from the head down, turning to basic energy particles before being consumed by the blade. The purple line's momentum didn't falter. As if oblivious to spatial distance, it swept past the clear sky avatar behind Tangjen. The phantom let out a silent wail and collapsed into nothing. Tangjen was struck as if by lightning. Blood shot from his mouth in a fountain as he was flung backward like a kite with a broken string. His aura withered instantly. The light in his eyes dimmed and the flame of life seemed ready to gutter out. The silence embodied in that purple slash frantically ate away at his vitality. Not good! Atop the VIP seats, Chandalu's expression turned ugly. Disregarding status and rules, he bounded to the stage's edge. The vast angel god divine force within him erupted. Angelic protection! A soft yet resilient pillar of golden light descended and enveloped the dying Tangjen. The holy radiance clashed with the saber's silent intent with a sizzling crack. It barely managed to shield Tangjen's heart and soul, stopping the complete erosion of his life force. Qing, having executed the slash, slowly floated down as his purple-gold aura quickly receded. He looked at Tangjen, saved at the last moment by Qiandalu, and at the vast trench of nullified space that the thin purple line had carved into the canyon floor. He breathed a quiet sigh. Fortunately, he had withdrawn 90% of the power at the last instant. Otherwise, even Qiandalu's intervention might not have been enough. The canyon lay in stunned silence. Everyone's minds reeled from the slash that transcended understanding and from the fact that a super Douluo had had to intervene to prevent a catastrophe. The mark of the God King jolted the Rakshasa, and ripples stirred through Bibi Dong's heart. Seated on the Supreme Pontiff's throne, Bibi Dong kept an air of majesty and composure outwardly. Inside, however, her mind had become a chaotic theater, a far cry from the elegant, noble image she projected. This is a disaster, an utter disaster. Has destruction decided to take a nap early? A sharp, slightly fierce, completely panicked little girl voice echoed wildly through Bibi Dong's empty sea of consciousness. From the sea of thought sprang the phantom of a purple-haired child, a fragment of the Rakshasa god's divine sense incarnation. She wore a dark purple Gothic dress, her hair in twin tails, her features delicate, though her small face was drained pale with fright. She clutched her head and spun in place like a cat whose tail had been trod on. Usually, the Rakshasa presented herself as a seductive woman, but extreme shock forced this most primitive lowly form to the surface. As a first-class divinity in the god realm who governed negative emotions, evil thoughts, malice, her power origin was, to some extent, tied to the administrative system of the god king of destruction, who oversaw the rules of destruction. She knew the aura of destruction intimately. The power Yu Qing had used, the sunken abyss star extinguishing slash, was no simple destruction attribute. It had reached into the origin of the rules themselves, a unique imprint belonging to the god king of destruction. It was like finding the divine artifact effects of a max-level character in a beginner's village. How could she not be terrified? What happened next made her panic deepen. On the arena stage, after Yu Qing sheathed his blade, he moved quickly to the side of the unconscious Tang Zhen. In his palm, the life golden leaf martial soul blossomed, radiating a majestic aura of life. To stabilize Tang Zhen's collapsing life force, he even deployed a life barrier. An emerald green light, full of vitality, wrapped Tang Zhen. At that same moment, deep within the life golden leaf martial soul, another gentle, vast imprint unfurled, the origin of life's creation, spreading its branches like a slumbering ancient tree and sending out a crystalline fluctuation. Holy, there's life's aura too. What kind of universe-level joke is this? The purple-haired child froze, her small mouth an O. Her amethyst eyes bulged as she pointed outward through Bibi Dong's perception, her finger trembling like a leaf in the wind. The origin imprints of both destruction and life coexist on a mortal. Is he the child of those two, or is he the joint successor chosen by them? This world has gone mad. The Rakshasa's worldview, sculpted over tens of thousands of years, began to crack. Destruction and life, two supreme god kings, opposite rules that together kept the balance of the god realm. Their origin imprints actually coexisting harmoniously within the spirit of a lower realm being. It shattered everything she thought she knew. The shock melted into wild, volcanic joy. Fear? What was that? If she could cling to a leg this strong, she wouldn't just be secure in the god realm, she'd become unstoppable. A flash of light and the purple-haired child grew into a tall, purple-haired woman with a seductive face. She fought to suppress her excitement, though the corners of her mouth betrayed her, curling upward. She had to act, now. In an instant, Bibi Dong's consciousness was dragged by an irresistible force into the deepest part of her own sea of consciousness. In a chaotic space woven of purple-black evil thoughts and dark-red malice, the Rakshasa, having just completed her transformation and struggling to maintain divine dignity, stood before her. "You are a divinity?" Bibi Dong's mind gathered and asked cautiously. The purple-haired woman cleared her throat, trying on a solemn tone. "My successor. Do not panic. I am the Rakshasa god." "You pulled me in?" Bibi Dong's brow knit. The Rakshasa coughed again, though her eyes kept darting toward Yu Qing's direction outside. Urgency threaded her voice. "That extraordinary young man just now. Do you know him?" Bibi Dong thought a moment, then answered honestly. "Yu Qing, the sect master of the Yin-Yang sect. We've had one transaction, but we aren't close. He's peerless talent with a deep mind. He won't act unless he has a clear benefit." Also, she hesitated, recalling her own experience when she'd bargained with Ling Yuan. "From what I've seen, he's rather lustful." "Lustful?" The Rakshasa's eyes flared purple. Joy lit her face like she'd found a hidden treasure. "That's a huge advantage. A godsend." Bibi Dong blinked. Was there something wrong with this divinity's values? The Rakshasa leaned forward, suddenly serious and obsequious at once. "Listen, Bibi Dong, I tell you as a divinity, Yu Qing carries the origin imprints of two god kings." "Two god kings?" Bibi Dong's consciousness trembled, disbelief written across her features. This was beyond comprehension. "Yes!" The Rakshasa's voice was decisive, threaded with awe. "He will be the core figure of the future god realm, those two Your Majesty's joint representative. To establish a connection with him is a supreme opportunity for us. It's a shortcut for our Rakshasa line to reach the peak of divinity." She stared as if looking at a lamp that could grant all her wishes. "Therefore, I'm changing the content of your Rakshasa god trial immediately. It will revolve entirely around Yu Qing." A sense of foreboding rose in Bibi Dong. "Changed? How?" The Rakshasa cleared her throat and pronounced the new decree with an urgency that begged for quick agreement. "Ultimate goal of the god trial, become one of Yu Qing's closest, most indispensable companions. Specific content, use every means to get close to him, attract him, obtain him, and establish an unbreakable, dual connection of flesh and soul. Assessment criteria, successfully complete 9 deep, body and soul blending sessions of yin-yang harmonization with him. Each completion counts as one trial. Upon the ninth perfection, I will directly open the inheritance channel for the Rakshasa god position for you, guaranteeing your ascension to godhood. When the words finished, Bibi Dong flushed crimson from forehead to throat. Anger, shame, and indignation made her voice tremble. Absurd! Impossible! I absolutely will not do that. The Rakshasa watched the flustered Bibi Dong without anger, her purple eyes pierced through pretenses. In your heart you've always kept someone, haven't you? That mortal theoretical grandmaster, Yu Xiaogang. Bibi Dong shuddered as if some deepest secret had been exposed. Her gaze twisted with pain and complexity. After a long, silent moment, she nodded, barely. The Rakshasa's voice went flat and piercing. I do not give advice lightly, but you are an exception. Listen, before absolute power and eternity, that tiny love you clutch like a jewel is nothing. Bibi Dong bit her lower lip and fought the violent struggle in her heart. Finally, through clenched teeth, she muttered, I will not give up on him. The Rakshasa sneered. That person you love? What does he have? Great talent? Noble character? Which of those does he possess? Before Bibi Dong could answer, the Rakshasa's tone grew cruel and cutting. The so-called fate between you and Yu Xiaogang was arranged from the start by a certain existence in the God realm to maintain balance and guide you toward a set destiny. Even your entry into Slaughter City to obtain the Slaughter God domain was within that being's calculations. We are pawns in a higher game, Bibi Dong. Give up the man fate toys with and embraces Yu Qing instead. He carries God-King imprints and a limitless future. What you will gain will far outweigh that tiny, illusory warmth you're clinging to. Her figure blurred, and her voice carried one last decisive lure. That is all I have to say. I will not force your hand. If one day you recognize reality, come find me again. With a flash of purple light, the Rakshasa's divine sense incarnation vanished. The chaotic sea of consciousness stilled, leaving the weight of immense shock, shattered assumptions, and an agonizing choice pressing down on Bibi Dong's dazed mind. Outside, only a single instant had passed. Bibi Dong came back to herself, fingertips cold and a sheen of sweat on her back. She looked at Yu Qing on the stage, tending to Tang Zhen while bathed in the life radiance, and her gaze grew unbearably complex. The imprints of destruction and life, the God realm's interference, the idea that her love had been negated, and the Rakshasa's promise of a shortcut to power tangled in her head like a snarled mess of ropes. Your Holiness, it is time to announce the results. Beside her, the chrysanthemum Douluo Yueguan's low, concerned voice pulled her back from the storm of thought. Bibi Dong drew a deep breath and forced her composure. In a slightly hoarse voice, she declared, Sect Master Round, 5th round, first match, the winner, Yin-Yang Sect, Yu Qing. After that, she was distracted. When announcing the draw between Chen Xin and Aro, her voice was flat as if reading scripture. When declaring Gurong's victory over Yu Wanzhen, she even faltered. Her mind had already flown to the agonizing choice about her future. At last, the 5th round of the Sect Master round concluded. Yu Qing defeated Tang Zhen. Chen Xin drew with Aro. Gurong defeated Yu Wanzhen. All matches of the 7 Great Sects re-election assembly were over. The final rankings were about to be announced, but in Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong's heart, a war far fiercer and more painful than any arena duel was raging. 177. The sect conference had finally come to a close, and a new order was being established in the papal palace. The 7 Great Sects re-election assembly, which had lasted for months, ended under the witness of countless onlookers. After 5 rounds and 25 fiercely contested matches, the new sect landscape had been decided. Though Spirit Hall would still make the official announcement of the final rankings, an incontestable fact had already spread through Spirit City like wildfire and across the continent. The title of Sect Number 1 under heaven had changed hands. The rising Yin-Yang Sect, backed by the unfathomable, perception-shattering strength of Sect Master Yu Qing and the soft Emperor Aru, and bolstered by the spectacular performances of disciples like Duan Xin and Zi Rui, had wrested the throne of the Spirit Masters from the veteran hegemon, the Clear Sky Sect. That an obscure sect could rise so fast and so forcefully was the stuff of legend. Inside the Yin-Yang Sect's private resting pavilion, there was celebration and triumph. Sectmaster Yu was in high spirits, surrounded by his radiant wives and capable subordinates. He waved his hand and began handing out rewards. Ling Yin, you were steady in the top-tier combat rounds and beat one strong opponent after another. This 95,000-year rapid phantom left leg bone is yours. Yu Qing produced a translucent spirit bone that shimmered with a faint green light and handed it to the heroic Feng Lingyin. Thank you, Sectmaster. Feng Lingyin accepted it with delighted surprise. Her eyes shone. A 95,000-year bone was practically a top-tier treasure, its value enormous. Then Yu Qing's gaze swept over Aru, Duanxin, Zirui, Purple Pearl, Shui Wuwei, and Shui Wuxiang. A knowing smile curved his lips. As for you lot, he said, your husband is in a generous mood today. I'll help you properly consolidate your cultivation. That night, the pavilion was filled with the warm, intimate aura of yin-yang harmonization. In his elation, Yu Qing even activated the long, unused ultimate setting of the Tao companion system, lifespan-consuming dual cultivation. At the cost of consuming his own lifespan, the system could transmit the purest yin-yang origin power with extraordinary efficiency, enabling rapid leaps in cultivation far beyond ordinary joint practice. Its effect was immense, and so was the price. The night that followed was intense. Sectmaster Yu showed astonishing endurance and a fervent desire to teach, guiding his beloved companions with deep, lasting, all-encompassing cultivation support, body and mind, only letting up at the first pale light of dawn. By morning, he almost had to lean against the pavilion wall to steady himself, rubbing his lower back as he shuffled out with unsteady steps. His face was a little pale, his eyes held a satisfied glint, but exhaustion dominated. Sigh, that nearly killed me, Yu Qing muttered, feeling a dull ache in his kidneys as if he'd been poured out. I really went all out this time, burned a full 20 years of lifespan. Still, seeing the obvious yin-yang power radiating from his wives inside, he felt the sacrifice had been worth it. Judging by the energy fluctuations, it would take them at least a day to fully absorb the infusion. He stepped outside to breathe in some fresh air. Not far away, on a lively street, he came upon a tender scene. Poison duo Dugu Bo was dotingly holding his young granddaughter Dugu Yan, while the graceful Ning Fengya stood beside them. Dugu Bo held a seed that gave off a curious medicinal scent and patiently taught Dugu Yan, "Look, Yan Yan, this is a dragon saliva grass seed. It smells a bit fishy, but it's excellent for refining detox pills." Ning Fengya held a translucent gemstone and murmured softly, "Yan Yan, when you identify a gem, look at its luster, clarity, and hardness. Like this cat's eye stone, see how a band of light moves across it? It's very pretty." Little Dugu Yan blinked her large eyes and switched her attention between her grandfather and Auntie Ning, learning with bright delight. Yu Qing watched smiling, about to step forward and greet them, when a scorching, hostile gaze pricked at him. He followed it and saw 7 treasure glazed tile schoolmaster Ning Fengji standing on the corner, staring at Dugu Bo as if he wanted to devour him. When Ning Fengya took Dugu Bo's arm and laughed softly, Ning Fengji's face turned as black as a pot bottom. His fists clenched until his knuckles cracked. The look in his eyes was like watching a prized cabbage being carried away, pot and all, by someone else. Yu Qing barely contained his laughter as a plan formed. He raised his hand and called out loud enough for half the street to hear. "Yo, isn't this Schoolmaster Ning? What a coincidence! Are you here to admire the view too? Want to head to the Supreme Pontiff Palace together?" Ning Fengji was startled by the sudden greeting. He immediately smoothed the murderous look from his face and wore a refined, nonchalant expression as if it really were a chance meeting. "So it is Sectmaster Yu. Quite a coincidence. Today's fine weather, perfect for going together." He walked over with a practiced smile and called toward Dugu Bo. "Hey sister, old poison? Shopping with Yan Yan? Want to join us? They're about to start at the Supreme Pontiff Palace." Ning Fengya, seeing her brother approach alongside Yu Qing, looked at Dugu Bo and said with a smile, "Husband, shall we go with brother and Sectmaster Yu?" Dugu Bo had no objection and nodded. Ning Fengji was internally flummoxed. How did my well-behaved sister start calling someone else husband so naturally? Watching Ning Fengji's effort to suppress his frustration, Yu Qing fought to keep his laughter down. He took little Dugu Yan from Dugu Bo's arms. Master, the child called sweetly, pressing her small face to Yu Qing and giggling. Ah, Yan Yan is so good. Yu Qing pinched her tiny nose affectionately. I heard Yan Yan already reached level 20. That's wonderful. Yes, Master, when do I get my second spirit ring? Yan Yan can't wait. No rush, Yan Yan. Your spirit power needs a bit more time to settle. Building a solid foundation is most important. Once this assembly's over, I'll take you to a theory competition. I'll need you there to cheer me on. Yay, a theory competition. Yan Yan wants to go. Dugu Bo, watching his granddaughter cling to Yu Qing and pay him more attention than to her biological grandfather, huffed and felt a pang of dismay. He fumed inwardly. My precious granddaughter, she's been completely led astray by this madman Ye. And so the little party, Ning Fengji with his complicated thoughts, mischievous Yu Qing, sweet Ning Fengya, lively Dugu Yan, and the disgruntled but doting Dugu Bo, made their way toward the Supreme Pontiff Palace with very different hearts. Outside the palace, the air was solemn and the crowd thick. Sect masters and core elders of the 7 great sects, along with many continent-famous experts whose spirit power had reached the spirit Douluo level, had gathered to witness the historic moment. A platinum bishop from Spirit Hall stepped forward and respectfully escorted Yu Qing and Schoolmaster Ning into the Grand Hall. Inside, colored light filtered through stained glass and scattered over the gathered dignitaries. Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong sat upon her high throne, crowned in purple and gold, scepter in hand, her beautiful face radiating majesty. On either side stood 2 titled Douluo, Chrysanthemum Douluo Yueguan and Ghost Douluo Guimei. In the seat of the ruling elder sat her teacher, the former Supreme Pontiff Qian Shunji, calm and composed. At that moment, at least a third of the top spirit master power on the Douluo Continent filled the hall, their auras braided together and weighed on the air. Bibi Dong's gaze swept over the crowd and lingered for a fraction on Yu Qing with a look that was complex and unreadable, but she quickly resumed her papal bearing. Slowly rising, her voice cold and solemn, she spoke, and the sound echoed through the palace. Welcome, sect masters and pillars of the spirit master world, to the Supreme Pontiff Palace. After months of competition, the 7 great sects re-election assembly has concluded successfully. I, Bibi Dong, Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall, now officially announce the new 7 great sects. 178. A new order is established in the Papal Palace. The token changes hands, and the political landscape shifts. Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong's cold, solemn voice carried a kind of power that made every influential figure in the Papal Palace hold their breath, waiting for a moment that might change history. As verified by the Spirit Hall, the final results of the 7 great sects re-election assembly are as follows. Bibi Dong's voice rang through every corner of the hall. First, the rankings of the upper 3 sects. The golden scroll in her hand flashed. Lines of gilded characters formed from spirit power appeared on the light screen as clearly as if branded in metal. Sect number 1, Yin Yang Sect. Sect Master, Yu Qing, level 97, Attack System, titled Douluo. Core Elder, Aru, level 96, Agility Attack System. Known number of titled Douluo, 3. Whoosh! Though expected, the 7 words, Sect number 1 under heaven, Yin Yang Sect, still triggered an uncontrollable murmur. Dozens of eyes turned to Yu Qing, who stood at the front with an elegant, easygoing air. The once obscure Yin Yang Sect had miraculously risen to the top. When observers read no number of titled Douluo 3, many pupils constricted. 3? Besides Yu Qing and Aru, there's another titled Douluo? They hid it that well. There wasn't a single rumor. Who could it be? The red-haired Duan Xin? Or Feng Lingyan, the agility attacker? No, both of those are still spirit Douluo level. It looks like the Yin-Yang sect's foundation runs deeper than anyone thought. Yu Qing felt the probing gazes, but merely smiled and said nothing. Including Ling Yuan would not only boost the sect's visible strength and deterrence, it would also better tether her to his side, 2 advantages with 1 move. The golden light flowed on, and the second rank appeared. Second sect, Clear Sky Sect Clan Master Tang, Tong Zhen, level 97, Attack System, titled Douluo. Core Elder, Tong Xiao, level 91, Attack System, Douluo. Known number of titled Douluo, 7. Many from the established powers nodded inwardly impressed. The Clear Sky Sect is still the Clear Sky Sect. Their foundation runs deep, 7 titled Douluo on the surface. I've heard they also have several young spirit Douluo with massive potential. Their future is bright. Yin Yang may have taken the top spot through extraordinary individuals, but in terms of overall depth and number of titled Douluo, Clear Sky will remain hard to unseat in the short term. Tang Zhen's face was calm, but a flicker of quiet sorrow crossed his eyes. To hand over 1,000 years of glory today, he would be lying if he said it didn't wound him. Tang Xiao stood behind his father, solemn, fists clenched. Tang Hao snorted coldly, eyes burning as they fixed on the backs of Yu Qing and Eru, his battle intent still unextinguished. The third row of golden characters emerged immediately. Third Sect, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, Schoolmaster Ning, Ning Fengji, Level 79 Support System, Spirit Saint. Guardian Elders, Chen Xin, Level 95, Attack System, titled Douluo, Gu Rong, Level 94, Defense System, titled Douluo, no number of titled Douluo, 2. This result matched expectations. With its unique top-tier support spirit and 2 Super Douluo, Sword and Bone, the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School comfortably held third. Ning Fengji smiled gently, pleased. Chen Xin and Gu Rong looked composed and unshaken. With the upper 3 announced, the atmosphere in the hall grew heavier. Bibi Dong set the golden scroll aside and produced another that glowed silver. Next, the rankings of the lower 4 sects will be announced. The silver light screen opened and the writing appeared. Head of the lower 4 sects, White Tiger Sect. Sect Master, Level 87, Attack System, Spirit Douluo. Grand Elder Dai Tianfeng, Level 91, Attack System, Titled Douluo. No number of Titled Douluo, 1. Second of the lower 4 sects, Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect. Sect Master Yu Zhen, Level 95 Attack System, Titled Douluo. No number of Titled Douluo, 1. Third of the lower 4 sects, Fire Leopard Sect. Sect Master Huo Yambao, Level 85 Attack System, Spirit Douluo. No number of Titled Douluo, none. Fourth of the lower 4 sects, Wind Sword Sect. Sect Master Mai Long, Level 84 Attack System Douluo. No number of Titled Douluo, none. All eyes turned to the corner where a lone figure slumped in his seat, Yu Yuanzhen. Time had fallen on him in an instant. His hair had grayed, his eyes were dim, his back not as straight as it used to be. After successive blows and 5 straight defeats, the old sect master's spirit seemed drained. Those who had ties to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect, or who merely watched as bystanders, couldn't help but feel a pang of pity. Alas, the world is unpredictable. From the upper 3 to the lower 4, that's a crushing blow. Sect Master Yu, his days may be numbered. When he's gone, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect will likely... White Tiger Sect Master Dai Su could scarcely hide his satisfaction. He tried to remain serious, but the corners of his mouth lifted. To wrest the top position among the lower 4 from an established power was a major victory. Taking in the room's reactions, Bibi Dong's face remained majestic and composed. She raised her hand and announced, "Bring the Supreme Pontiff tokens." An elder of the Spirit Hall, dressed in red and radiating a profound aura, stepped forward with a red velvet tray. On it lay 3 ancient-looking tokens, white but emitting strange energy fluctuations. Supreme Pontiff tokens, symbols of the Spirit Hall's highest favor and authority. Bibi Dong lifted the top one. The designs were clear. No longer the symbols of the previous upper 3 sects. The new tokens bore 6 emblems: a golden leaf, Yu Qing of the Yin Yang sect, an elegant rabbit, Eru, a domineering hammer, Clear Sky sect, a sharp sword, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, and 2 others representing the Spirit Hall's Chrysanthemum and Ghost Douluo. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon's mark had been removed entirely. Those who obtain the new Supreme Pontiff token will be granted elder-level privileges throughout the Spirit Hall's jurisdiction, Bibi Dong said, her gaze sweeping over Yu Qing, Tang Zhen, and Ning Fengji. Sect Master Yu of the Yin Yang sect, Clan Master Tang of the Clear Sky sect, and Schoolmaster Ning of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, please step forward to receive your Supreme Pontiff tokens. The 3 advanced. Yu Qing appeared relaxed, as if receiving something ordinary. Tang Zhen bore solemn weight on his face. Ning Fengji was his usual refined self. When Bibi Dong handed the token to Yu Qing, their fingers brushed for a moment. Something extremely complex flickered in Bibi Dong's purple eyes, the Rakshasa god's implanted impulse to cling to him, the restraint of her office as Supreme Pontiff, and a faint, inexpressible curiosity. She added, "The old versions of the Supreme Pontiff tokens no longer conform to current regulations. Please return them." Prepared, Tang Zhen and Ning Fengji calmly produced their old tokens from storage spirit tools and handed them back to the red-clad elder. Finally, the elder carried the tray over to Yu Yuanzhen, who sat alone. He bowed slightly, his tone uncompromising. "Sect Master Yu, please return the original Supreme Pontiff token." Almost everyone's gaze concentrated on Yu Yuanzhen. His face drained of color. His knuckles went white on the armrest. His body trembled. This was not merely the return of a token. It symbolized the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect's definitive fall from the hall of the top-tier sects. Under countless watchful eyes, Yu Yuanzhen's lips quivered. All the anger, unwillingness, and humiliation dissolved into a long, hollow sigh. With trembling hands, he placed the old Supreme Pontiff token, the long emblem of his former glory, back onto the tray. The token's soft clink sounded weighty. To many, it felt like the end of an era. Bibi Dong scanned the assembly, taking in the myriad expressions that marked the passing of the old and the rise of the new. Then she announced, her voice ringing out, "The Seven Great Sects Re-Election Assembly has hereby come to a perfect conclusion." She paused, letting the declaration settle, then added another piece of news. "Furthermore, the Spirit Hall will soon host an all-continent advanced Spirit Master Theory Debate Grand Prix, aimed at exploring spirit origin, innovations in spirit abilities, and the Tao of cultivation. At that time, all major sects, academies, and colleagues in the Spirit Master world are welcome to attend, observe, and exchange ideas." 179. Contract Spirit Kite. With Bibi Dong's announcement of the Spirit Theory Debate Competition, the Seven Great Sects Re-Election Assembly concluded perfectly. Yu Qing stepped out of the magnificent hall with the crowd. Sunlight spilled over him and a smile eased across his face. Securing the title of #1 sect under heaven was a milestone achieved. Now his thoughts turned to the Spirit Theory Debate Competition the Supreme Pontiff had mentioned. "Sect Master Yu, you seem quite interested in this theory debate," a gentle voice said from the side. Yu Qing turned to see Ning Fengji, the schoolmaster of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School, approaching with a smile, followed by Chen Xin and Gu Rong. "Schoolmaster Ning," Yu Qing greeted with a smile. "I do have some interest. Before I founded the Yin-Yang sect, I devoted myself to spirit theory research. An event that gathers the world's talents and sparks academic collision is naturally something I want to attend." "Oh?" Ning Fengji's eyes flashed with surprise and interest. "I didn't expect Sect Master Yu to not only be at the pinnacle of practical combat, but also to have a background in theory. Which directions did you focus on? Fengji will certainly come to hear your insights when the time comes." At that moment, Tang Zhen, Sect Master of Clear Sky, walked by. Hearing the exchange, curiosity stirred across his composed face. A theory debate? Sect Master Yu's research must be remarkable. Facing two leaders from old powerful sects, Yu Qing didn't conceal anything. He dropped two theoretical bombshells. "My main focuses are, first, directional guidance for benign spirit evolution, and second, the theory of absorbing spirit rings beyond their limits." Hiss! Ning Fengji and Tang Zhen, both experienced and shrewd, couldn't help but gasp in unison. They exchanged looks, each seeing the shock mirrored in the other's face. Spirit evolution? Absorbing spirit rings beyond their limits? Either subject alone could overturn the established Spirit Master system and shake the spirit world to its core. The second was especially provocative. So many talented practitioners had died pushing for older, higher-grade soul rings. If Yu Qing could make a real theoretical breakthrough, its value would be beyond measure. "Sect Master Yu, you have lofty ambitions," Ning Fengji said, breathing deeply and praising him with sincere anticipation. "If you achieve something in either of those paths, it will be a blessing for our world. When that day comes, the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School will be there to listen." Tang Zhen nodded gravely. The Clear Sky sect looks forward to Sect Master Yu's luminous discourse. Though brief, his words carried solemn weight. After a few more pleasantries, the three parted. Yu Qing met Dugubo's family waiting nearby, Dugubo carrying his granddaughter Dugu Yan, with the gentle Ning Fengya at his side. Little Yan Yan reached out to Yu Qing. He picked her up and teased her. laughter and chatter accompanying them back to the yin-yang sect residence. After reluctantly handing the child back to Dugubo, Qing returned to his private quarters. The moment he entered, a breath tinged with powerful energy struck him. Last night's costly joint cultivation, one that had cost him 20 years of lifespan, had clearly benefited the wives enormously. Most of them were now in seclusion, digesting the vast influx of yin-yang power. Qing swept his divine sense over them and nodded with satisfaction. After successfully refining that 95,000-year top-grade spirit bone, Feng Lingyan's spirit power barrier had loosened. She had broken through to rank 89, one step from becoming a titled Douluo. The recently arrived spirit kite Douluo, who hadn't yet officially signed on, felt Feng Lingyan's strengthened aura and couldn't hide her jealousy. She had been a titled Douluo for years without a decent spirit bone and watched others' strength climb with a sour feeling. The Shui sisters, Wu Yue and Wu Xiang, had always shown talent. Nourished by the pure yin-yang origin, they had jumped 4 ranks to rank 68. Zirui and Purple Pearl each rose 3 ranks and glowed with newfound radiance. Duan Xin's improvement manifested in her soul ring. Her 6th soul ring's age had been lifted to 60,000 years. Aru surprised Qing the most. Already ranked 96, the massive energy infusion let her faintly touch the cusp of rank 97. Her 6th soul ring neared 90,000 years, a solid step toward 100,000 years. The twin sisters, Ling Xin and Ling Mo, had not yet signed a Dao companion contract, and so could not directly benefit from dual cultivation. Qing, nonetheless, rewarded each with a precious 100,000-year spirit bone. They were now absorbing them in a quiet chamber, and were expected to jump to at least rank 60. After checking everyone's progress, Qing's gaze fell on Spirit Kite, sitting alone with a complicated expression. He smiled and walked over. "Elder Spirit Kite, are you settling in all right?" he asked as he took the chair opposite her. Spirit Kite returned to composure and assumed a respectful, humble posture. Standing before a superior with many wives and immeasurable strength was unsettling. There was awe at his power, confusion about her future, and a curiosity she tried to hide. "Reporting to Sect Master, everything is fine," she replied. Qing smiled and spoke plainly. "I saw you looking envious of Feng Lingyan and the others. Do you want to raise your strength quickly like they did?" Her delicate body trembled. Spirit Kite looked up, emotion flickering in her eyes. She hesitated, weighing the choice, then asked quietly, "The price is becoming your wife, right?" Qing nodded calmly. "Yes." A deep breath rose and fell in her chest as the inner turmoil played across her face. Becoming one of his wives would irrevocably change her life. She was practical and smart. Years in the spirit hall had taught her the supreme importance of power. She'd seen how Qing treated his wives and heard, through casual remarks, the astonishing stories, people rising from Spirit King to Spirit Saint in 3 years, leaping from rank 92 to rank 96 in that time, a 19-year-old Spirit Saint. Faced with an uncertain future, the young yet unfathomable sect master before her and the clear shortcut to power were tempting. "If you guarantee I will receive the same speed of improvement and access to resources as Duan Xin and Feng Lingyan," Spirit Kite said, her gaze hardening, "then I'm willing to become one of your wives." Qing's smile was gentle but firm. "Naturally, once you enter my gate, you are family. I, Qing, do not favor one Dao companion over another." Hearing certainty erased the last of her hesitation. Spirit Kite was decisive. Once she chose, she acted. "Very well, I promise." She hesitated a moment, then asked the question that had been worrying her. Sect Master, you won't neglect me in the future, will you?" Her face flushed, embarrassed at the apparent pettiness of the question. Qing blinked, then laughed. Looking at the usually cold fire kite Douluo, showing a young woman's bashfulness, he comforted her. "Don't worry. Although I have many wives, there are limits. I will never let anyone be neglected. Otherwise, my waist wouldn't be able to take it." The banter lightened the mood. Spirit Kite's blush deepened, but relief followed. "In that case, let's sign the contract." Qing's expression turned serious. He called the system. A soft, mysterious golden light streamed into his palm and condensed into an ancient, profound golden scroll that floated before Spirit Kite. The scroll pulsed with an inexpressible law aura, as if linked to some supreme power. Drop a bead of your essence blood onto the contract. From now on, our spirit power will be connected, our fates shared, and our fortunes intertwined, Yu Qing intoned solemnly. Spirit Kite no longer hesitated. She extended her slender finger, stirred her spirit power, drew out a bead of crimson essence blood, and let it fall onto the golden scroll. Buzz, the familiar system prompt chimed in Yu Qing's mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully contracting a 4-star Tao Companion Spirit Kite. Rewards: Tao Companion Treasure Chest X2, 80,000 Yin Yang points. Soul Ring Age Card, 50,000 years. X3, Fire Phoenix Inner Elixir X1. Ding! Tao Companion panel has been updated. Yu Qing opened the Tao Companion panel and reviewed the new entry. Companion Spirit Kite, age 68, in the prime of life for a title Douluo. Spirit, Blazing Spirit Kite, top-tier fire attribute Beast Spirit. Spirit Power Rank, level 91. Spirit Ring Configuration, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 optimal ratio. Beauty Score, 93. Enduring Charm, Distinctive Temperament. Innate Soul Power, 9, excellent talent. Comprehensive Star Rating, Favorability, 80. Initial favorability, quite good. Yu Qing closed the panel, looking at Spirit Kite with the quiet composure of a man who had just added another vital piece to his growing family. 180. Newlywed Mourning and Kidney Crisis. Ling Yuan's information was clearly imprinted in Yu Qing's mind, especially that initial favorability of 80, which made the corners of his mouth lift in satisfaction. It seemed his earlier show of strength, paired with honest openness, had worked even better than he'd hoped. This mature, beautiful, titled Douluo hadn't yielded to force alone. She'd yielded to recognition and trust in a shared future. Even better, the Fire Phoenix Inner Elixir the system had rewarded fit perfectly with her Blazing Spirit Vulture Spirit, unlocking more of its fire attribute potential, truly the icing on the cake. Across from him, Ling Yuan sat cross-legged. She fluttered her long lashes and slowly opened her eyes. Those eyes, usually sharp and imposing, were now a little misty, as if the world had softened around their edges. She blinked to clear the light and then caught sight of Yu Qing's face close by. An indescribable warmth spread through her chest. The world was the same world, but when she looked at Yu Qing, everything had shifted. The respect and distance one held for a sect leader or a powerhouse melted away like snow in the sun. In its place grew a closeness and trust that seemed to bind them together. "How do you feel?" Yu Qing asked with a gentle smile, meeting her slightly dazed gaze. Ling Yuan didn't answer at once. She carefully probed the changes within herself. Her spirit power flowed like a newly tamed river, smoother, freer. She could even sense the active fire elements in the air showing greater affinity to her. Most wondrous of all was the soul-level connection to Yu Qing, warm, steady, and deeply reassuring. A bright, moved smile unfurled. It was a relaxation and joy that came from letting down every guard. "It feels wonderful," she murmured, a hint of post-sleep rasp in her voice that made it sound irrepressibly alluring. "It's like a door to a new world has opened. Thank you, husband." The last two words came out softer, shy but resolute, as if declaring a decision. "We're family now. No need for formalities," Yu Qing chuckled, beaming. He reached out and slipped an arm around Ling Yuan's slender, supple waist, drawing her close. The warmth and elasticity beneath his hand earned a private compliment in his head, while his thoughts raced ahead, calculating how best to use his resources to propel this new Tao companion to a qualitative leap in strength. Feeling his strong arm and the nearness of his masculine scent, Ling Yuan's cheeks flushed. She didn't pull away. She leaned in, savoring the comfort. Since his other wives were still in their rooms consolidating gains, the supposed quiet of Yu Qing's lounge was full of spring's breath. He'd successfully won over another titled Douluo. When things quieted, Ling Yuan reclined against Yu Qing's solid chest and, flushed with excitement, probed her spirit. It had leapt 3 full levels to 94. She hugged him tightly, eyes shining with disbelief and joy. "Husband, so that's why Elder Ru and Elder Duan's strength improved so terrifyingly." Her impressive bosom pressed against him, and the sudden pressure made Yu Qing, who had only just finished a hard battle, feel awkwardly restless again. He answered vaguely, breathing steadying as he quelled his reaction. "This is amazing." Ling Yuan gushed like a child with a new treasure, all the majestic bearing of a titled Douluo gone. If I cultivate with husband, will I get stronger just by lying down? This is incredible. She began to imagine herself besting rival Douluos and stomping on enemies. Amused, Qing tapped her forehead and passed on the soul power compression method. Don't get carried away. Spirit power gained through dual cultivation comes quickly, but the foundation is vital. Practice the soul power compression method. Refine and condense the newly gained spirit power. Do at least 5 compressions to solidify your base. After that, I'll help you further improve your spirit's origin. Ling Yuan's eyes brightened even more. She almost wanted to pledge herself again to show her gratitude. But at that moment, bang! The lounge door swung open gently, and 2 figures appeared in the doorway. Leading them was Duan Xin, hands on her hips, pretending to be indignant. Her gaze swept over the 2 on the bed and settled on Qing for a beat, tone equal parts teasing and jealous. Well, well, husband, hiding here in your cozy little nest all night and making Sister Ru and me hunt for you. Behind her, Ru moved with lotus-like steps. She remained as gentle as ever, but there was a half-smile in her pink eyes as they drifted toward Qing's waist. Her voice was syrup-soft. Qing, it seems your kidneys are a bit too capable. They need a good lesson from us sisters to learn some rules. Caught mid-embrace, Ling Yuan was suffused with mortification. She scrambled upright and yanked the quilt overhead, burying herself head to toe and wishing she could disappear. Even if it was legal, it was deeply embarrassing to be found this way. Qing's face flushed hot. He coughed and tried to explain. Ru, you agreed to this already, didn't you? Ru glided to the bedside, arms folded in a way that emphasized her proud curves. Her pink eyes narrowed playfully. I agreed to let little sister Ling Yuan join our family. But last night, you didn't say a word. You just quietly devoured her. If this becomes the norm, won't you grow bolder and bolder, serenading us every night? For the sake of your health and family harmony, these kidneys need to be put in their place. Qing felt a chill creep up his spine and hurriedly begged for mercy. Ru, I was wrong. I'll report next time, I promise. Can we skip the lesson this once? It won't happen again. He knew exactly what Ru meant by a lesson. It was no joke. Though its process involved certain expected soreness for days afterward, Ru didn't reply with words. Her narrowed gaze and deeper smile said enough as she stared at his waist, considering where to begin. The brief morning scandal ended in laughter. Blushing furiously, Ling Yuan was yanked from the covers by Ru and Duan Xin and formally introduced to the other sisters. She fit into this unusual sisterhood quickly. Who could refuse a group of powerful, distinct women who genuinely cared for one another? Qing's kidney crisis wasn't fully resolved. Ru had only temporarily postponed her retribution, but the immediate tension eased. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, the day of the spirit theory debate competition arrived. Early that morning, supporting his still aching waist with one hand and receiving Ru's gentle assistance, Qing stepped out of the lounge. He looked tired, but his eyes were bright with anticipation for the convention. Feng Lingyan, waiting outside, approached with 3 children in tow, 1 girl and 2 boys. They were the 3 young spirit masters with blue silvergrass spirits that Qing had brought along for this trip. On the way to the Spirit Hall Advanced Spirit Master Academy, the group detoured to Dugu Bo's temporary residence to pick up the long-awaiting jubilant Dugu Yan. These 3 special participants were exactly the countermeasure Qing had prepared for the spirit theory debate competition, an answer meant to overturn the world's expectations.